The world is at our fingertips through little screens and downcast views. Those high-rise towers hide away the sun, and the clouds have muddied your gaze. Has the end of wonder only just begun? Your hands were once so strong, carving wood and making melodies. Now they press on plastic keys all day. In that gray box you sit in dusk till dawn. Don't you just wanna get away? When was the last time you looked up, brushed through galaxies and fireflies made for wide eyes? We're all made of cosmic dust, but where has the magic gone? Chasing after satellites instead of shooting stars. I want this world to be redrawn. I want this world to be redrawn. People walk, closed hearts, passing by without a second thought. Are they stuck? How do we break them free? I just want to paint them the colors of their souls, to show them how beautiful this world can be. When was the last time you looked up, brushed through galaxies and fireflies made for wide eyes? We're all made of cosmic dust, but where has the magic gone? Chasing after satellites instead of shooting stars. I want this world to be redrawn. I want this world to be redrawn. The sea is an endless gift of blues and greens. Mountains turn pink under the setting sun. Sky set ablaze with the passion of nature. Let the rainbow of our world remind you that you were once a vibrant creator. When was the last time you looked up, brushed through galaxies and fireflies made for wide eyes? We're all made of cosmic dust, but where has the magic gone? Chasing after satellites instead of shooting stars. I want this world to be redrawn. I want this world to be redrawn. We're all made of cosmic dust. Where has the magic gone? Chasing after satellites instead of shooting stars. I want this world to be redrawn. I want this world to be redrawn.
They call me a pitney, but I'd be fine if they didn't notice me. A chef detective serving up cold facts, yes sir. Got the aggro management on my aggressors. No time for you culture vultures. Too busy looting up my favorite professors. Got that uru cringe right food, worshiping my waifu. Rather spend my time painting holo licking ice cream. Now we investigating an international crime scene. Rather simp on my sensei. All you crazy cat ladies getting in my way, committing war crimes in rim worlds on the back burner. Now I gotta be a goddamn researcher. This timeline got a little wacky. Rather get a fancy isekai. Take me to the sky, wipe my mind, set me free. Be my slime girl queen. Let me be man kissing your dreams. I'm just a basement dwelling meme. basement dwelling me. I'm a shadow fax machine, spitting papers full of facts. Spread the word, got an normie husband who accepts my otaku. But online they all say literally who. Professional question asker at your service. I read hentai for the plot, don't wanna deal with you. Catch my thread on X, censorship, my favorite subject. This timeline got a little wacky, rather get that fancy isekai. Take me to the sky, wipe my mind, set me free. Give my slime girl queen, let me be man, kissing your dreams. I'm just a basement dwelling meme. Being told how to write, being told what to read, what to watch. Why are my imports feeling written? And in the USA, ain't none of this is what the characters say. Translate, screw your localization. Now I gotta put all these lies on display. Can't make my tier list, not when these scammers exist. This timeline got a little wacky, rather get that fancy isekai. Take me to the sky, wipe my mind, set me free. Give my slime girl queen, let me be man, kissing yaoi dreams. I'm just a basement dwelling meme. 2D pure, just trying to catch them all. The losers built like blasters, got a super effective move. Snowflake your sensor, now lava crops, assets got removed. These people thinking companies can have a pretty pro tag. Give the gamers what they want, fan service approved. Jago Fizz is still the best. JRPG's not the West. Rather spend my time painting holo licking ice cream. Now we investigating an international crime scene. Rather simp on my sensei. All you crazy cat ladies getting in my way. Committing war crimes in real worlds on the back burner. Now I gotta be a goddamn researcher. This timeline got a little wacky. Rather get that fancy isekai. Take me to the sky, wipe my mind, set me free. Give my slime girl queen, let me be man, kissing yaoi dreams. I'm just a basement dwelling meme.
Oh no, you're only getting 2 songs in the intro today, mostly because I fucked up my files, but that's okay. Is this the right one? Oh my god, I think it is. Okay, nothing's broken. There's a lot of, whatever, there's empty space. Hello, hi, how is everybody? I hope that you're doing fantastic. I may have forgotten that I was a streamer after doing 5 successful streams in a row once a week, every week, with the occasional sprinkling of the video games. Yes, I may have made a boo-boo. As soon as I take a day off, it tends to run away from me. But that's besides the point. How's my camera look? I think I look a little yellow. What do I look like? Nah. I don't really care. Oh, that kind of helps. Hang on. Oh, it's bad for my eyes, but I suppose it's good for you. Look, you can see my actual skin tone, which is translucent, along with my hair. Anyway, who cares? Hello, chat! Thank you for bullying me in the before times during the introductory segment of the stream. That's my favorite time. Typically, just like all professional streamers, I'm usually engaging with chat from the toilet. I'm just kidding. I'm not. You'll never know. Who knows? Yes. So, schedule. New schedule. This will most likely be the new schedule going forward. Maybe 2 o'clock. I don't know. We'll see. 1:30 feels good. Inconsistent stream schedule just means you're a professional. At least I sort of brushed my hair today. You can't tell, but nobody asked. Let's jump into the news though, guys. There's so much to talk about in the world today. Also, how do I pop out? Hang on, we're gonna have a thing. Hang on. I'm gonna pop out chats, that way I can get you on my main monitor here. There's no way you aren't from New York. Okay, look. I do want to dispel these words. God, I hate that little heart that's right there. It always blocks the end thing of what people are saying. So, voice cracks. I enjoy doing funny voices. Oh, fuck! Hang on. Everything's getting broken. Hang on. This is what happens. So, I was born in New York. And while one could say, well, see, there it is. That's exactly why you have an accent. That's exactly why you do that. Well, we moved away before I could even walk. So there's no way that the New York accent stuck with me. I grew up in Texas. I actually had a very strong Southern accent for a very long time. And then when I moved to West Virginia, of all places, yes, West Virginia, keep this in mind. This is important for the story. West Virginians bullied me. I was bullied by West Virginians for my accent, so I overcorrected and I did my very best to actually study speech at the ripe old age of 13, 14, and 15 to remove my fucking accent. So now most of the time I just talk like this. There's really nothing there and it's just a normal voice. However, I am an animated, ridiculous individual and I like doing voices. All right, sometimes I like to go back to my Southern roots and have a little bit of fun with that. I also did GTA RP where I did this for a while. But then I've also got like a little bit of like a fun and posh accent too, you know. Sometimes I'd like to be a little bit British, you know. So yeah, sometimes I do the voice. Sometimes I just want to be Holly, you know. But, you know, it's fun. It's fun to do voices. So I get animated. I don't have an accent anymore. I just speak English in the most basic of functions. Sometimes my Canadian shows, because while I might have moved around as a child, I am part Canadian. So even though I was Southern as fuck, I didn't say sorry. I said sorry, you know, so I had an O from it. There we go. Or, yes, the oil and all, yes. Yes, I do. I distinctly remember that. But yes, people who think this is what watching subs does to the brain. I'm not going to argue that. But yeah, so anyway, this is so I just speak in a very animated way. Part Canadian, I'm so sorry. Me too, man. It's very funny. It comes from my dad's side. My mother is Polish. I'm a first generation American. Hey, localizers. Hey, fucking localizers. But yeah, so anyway, I do not have a New York accent by default. My husband has actually grown used to the way that I talk, but it was actually a very funny thing in the beginning. He did ask me that. He's like, you don't talk like a normal person. And I'm like, well, I'm crazy. So, yes. So that's me. I do not want to be accused of being from and having a New York accent. I was born there, but I have my parents are more likely to be called New Yorkers than me. That's why she's so based, because she's Polish. Yeah, I mean, I've never heard that actually before. It's interesting. Hey, shout out to the fellow Polish. Apparently we're based. Oy. I want to say words, but all I have are funny, sad Catholic moments. Anyway, let's jump into some news, eh? It's been a while. It's been a while since we've been able to talk about some stuff, and some shit's gone down in the world that I think would be worth looking at. So, I'm sure you guys heard about a little company called Bungie getting acquired by PlayStation a while ago, and last week they had some layoffs. And of course the internet was not happy because other things happened around the layoff that I think everybody can disagree with and get behind. Namely being our best buddy Pete, who's in power at Bungie, not really being held accountable for the things that he allows to go on. Now, accountability is something that is important to me because I think it all ties into conversations around censorship, business practice, and of course, leadership in general, because in order to have a successful company, you kind of have to have leadership that kind of knows what it's doing. And unfortunately, Bungie and PlayStation have no idea what they're doing. So, we're going to jump into this article. Excuse me. I still have my cough, by the way. I almost had to burp there. Oh my God, that's white. Oh, fuck. I'm so sorry if I'm blinding anybody with the reflection of my flesh. Bungie misled Sony about its financial position ahead of acquisition, says the report. Produced on August 2nd by Zermina? I don't know. An individual who did an incredible amount of work, who is wonderful, and I think that this is important. So, a damning new report claims that Bungie misled Sony about its financial position ahead of the acquisition by PlayStation. The studio's management has come under scrutiny following a series of second-round mass layoffs within a year that didn't even spare longtime senior executives. Now, many former employees are laying the blame solely on the CEO, Pete Parsons. The aforementioned report comes from veteran journalist Stephen Totilo. I'm really bad at names, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be. Who spoke to former Bungie employees to get to the bottom of things. At least one of them addressed what many analysts and the gaming community has been left puzzled by. Sony spent $3.6 billion to acquire the studio. Employees reckon that Sony overpaid for Bungie after the studio misled the PlayStation maker by selling things that they were just not even able to deliver. While Destiny 2, the final shape, has been widely praised, Totilo, I just want to say Tortilla, I'm so sorry, that's such a fun last name, has been told that the latest cuts were being planned long before the expansion released. What's even more interesting is that it seems Bungie was a bit desperate to strike a deal with Sony. This is muy importante. One of Totilo's sources said that if Bungie hadn't been acquired, it may have gone bankrupt. The alternate history is insolvency. Interesting ads. What is this? Oh yeah, you can see the ads. Hypersexuality is not infidelity. It's an These are really interesting ads. What are these fucking ads? By the way, I'm on a browser that I don't use. So, like, this is just for stream, so that way you guys can't see my search histories. This is really weird. Anyway, I wish it would go away. So they keep going here. Bungie has thousands of employees at one point, which have now been reduced to just 850 following the last round of cuts, as there's hair in my mouth. The studio hasn't released anything outside of Destiny and its sequel over the last decade, and has gone through high profit splits with both Microsoft and Activision in the past. It has also emerged that senior Destiny executives Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy have been let go. Suffice to say, the common denominator here is Bungie's management. Now. Why is all of this very important to me? Well, for one, it talks about the current state of the industry. For number two, it's a great example of how bad leadership has led to bad choices, which is leading to job insecurity for people who, at the end of the day, were just hired to do a job. Whether the job was done well or not, it is important, but it's important before we even get to that to talk about the leadership. So, the part down here that is super, super, super important to me, which follows actually a trend that we have been seeing and something that I speak about in terms of how being financed or gaining investors kind of works out. What's even more interesting is that it seems Bungie was desperate to strike a deal with Sony. One of the sources said that if Bungie hadn't been acquired, it may have gone bankrupt. So we have a desperation for funding, correct? Now, this obviously happened a bit ago, but there are some correlations between some of the changes that we have seen in Bungie to all of this. Now, obviously, ESG, DEI, and some of the virtue signaling that we see from Bungie kind of follows this timeline a little bit, and you can typically tie a lot of this stuff together if you follow the money. Now, Pete, our main man, Pete, right? Obviously, he's not there to oversee exactly, every process of making the Vigia games. But you know what he does do? He approves. He literally approves the framework of the company. So that way other individuals can go on to do hiring, whatever that may be for the hiring practices. He approves, the changes that they need to make to appeal to investors. He also does other things to kind of just help make sure that the company makes money. But the company hasn't been making money. How do we know that? Because of this claim right here. If Bungie hadn't been acquired, it may have gone bankrupt. Now, we can all agree that Bungie has gone downhill in quality. It has been for a while. They haven't produced anything of value that gets people super hype and excited in a long time. Now, people do still play Destiny. The game has been around for a while. You had Destiny 1, Destiny 2, and then Destiny 2, of course, is being milked ad nauseum, which fine, whatever. But even longtime Destiny players kind of have similar sentiments to Overwatch. You know, on occasions you get a good bit of content, but overall they're not attracting new players. Their best bet is to bring back old players, but it's still not going as well as it could be for them. And I think that it's because of everything else involved. Now, leadership is super important. If you have an individual at the helm who's not making very good choices, everything's going to fall through. When you see companies get desperate for funding, they're willing to do anything. They're willing to maybe even cook the books a little bit, promise things that they wouldn't be able to do. But one of the other really easy ways to get money and to look good to investors is to raise your ESG score. And guess what's tied to ESG? DEI. What have we seen from Bungie over the past few years? A whole hell of a lot of virtue signaling. I meant to have Pete's Twitter up because I think it is muy importante to look at. Pete, what's his last name? Parsons Twitter. Also, please excuse me, I am a little stuffy. I had a sneezing fit earlier, so I'm trying my best not to sound All right, here's our boy Pete. Now, why is this important? Why the hell would I be bringing this up? Well, it's actually pretty all connected. CEO, Bungie Love. Some words: be brave, be kind, F racism, and social justice. So, I don't think he meant F social justice, but he's okay. I'd like to just say that if you don't understand basic grammar and how the word "and" works, you're probably not capable of actually making really good business choices. Anyway, I'll be nice here. F racism, and he supports social justice. You can see he's social justice virtue signaling here. Now, why am I calling this out? Why? Oh, social injustice. I can't read. Look at me. So F racism and social injustice. So he wants social justice. I can't read. Scrub that bit. It's okay. I can't read. I just saw the word justice. This is what happens when you're dumb. I'm dumb. This is why I'm not a CEO, by the way. I can't read. I'd be a terrible boss because of my need to micromanage. This is why I work for myself and do everything myself. Yeah, fuck social injustice. Bring it on. Dyslexia. Yeah, we could chalk it up to that. I'll just call myself stupid. Anyway, the whole point, why am I bringing this up? Why am I bringing up all of this? Because I'm sure an individual would say, but savvy, these are all good things. You should be brave. You should be kind. You should say fuck racism. You should say fuck social injustice. You should have the emblems on your banner and, making a good old happy, just look at that. Look at that, right? He looks like a happy dude, right? No, you're wrong, dear viewer. Don't fall for these words. This individual, shortly after acquisition, spent $2 million on classic cars. How is that being brave and kind? It sounds like he personally was just benefiting from the bonuses he received after screwing over Sony with lies. How is that being kind to lie to Sony and say, yes, we can do these things, we can promise and over-deliver? How is that being kind and brave? It's right. That's right, dear viewer. He was kind and brave to himself. Social injustice. Do you know what's truly a social injustice? Creating a hostile work environment where individuals are laid off not even a year after you said that you will not go to laying off people. That is social injustice. The people who virtue signal the loudest, who take advantage of all of the people who cry, DEI is good. These are truly evil people. Now, Pete, I'm sure he's a wonderful father, I would hope, and I would think that maybe he was fun to work with. Apparently, it sounds like he was before people were let off, because there was a very popular tweet that went around, that was passed around on Friday, I believe it was, where somebody, actually a former employee who lost their job, and they said, this is on you. You invited us out to go see your vehicles. You invited us to your wherever you keep these vehicles to show us your $2 million collection of vehicles, and then you let us go. What is that? What is that? That is not good. So these people who bastardize compassion, who say, hey, be brave and be kind, while he's, buying up more cars, while he knows layoffs are coming. Because if you also look at the statement, if you look at this right here, he had been told that the latest cuts were being planned for a long time. Sources said that the cuts were being planned. And this individual invited people over, well aware people were going to lose their job. This is asinine. This is the person who approved the framework for hiring based off of ESG and DEI. This is the individual who's saying diversity, equity, and inclusion are important, but only when it comes to my car collection. So explain to me why. Why are people so simple-minded that just seeing the rainbow on somebody's thing, they must say, yes, this is a good person? They're not. These people, these CEOs, these individuals at the top, they don't care because guess what? He still has a job today. He still has $2 million worth of cars, even though every single choice that he's made over the past few years has led to this moment and this job instability for everybody else. That's not good leadership. This is a terrible individual who does not belong at the top. But guess what? He gets to stay there. And let's just go ahead and hypothetically say Bungie does go under. The West doesn't hold him accountable. He will be able to go get another high-paying job at another company, and it won't matter. If this was Japan, he would have cuts, he would not give himself bonuses, and he certainly wouldn't have a collection of 20 vehicles that equal up to, $2 million or whatever it is. It's insane to me. It is absolutely insane. And this is why I say that DEI and ESG, those are just small symptoms of the problem. They are an expression of the problem, right? They are not the problem themselves. This individual was so desperate to get Bungie bought up, to strike up a deal, to attract investors, to get any source of money so that way he could keep taking care of himself. Because the idea of him not receiving millions upon millions of dollars for the labor of others, that was just inconceivable to him. Honestly, he should absolutely be taken to court if they have enough proof to sue him for this. I don't know if they do. I don't know how all of that would work, but I do believe that he should personally be held accountable. He has been the reason of Bungie being poo-poo. This is live. This is actually very live. But yes, boo this man. Boo him. Boo his virtue signaling. Be brave and be kind, my ass. Racism and social injustice, yeah, those are terrible things, but those are just words to hide the fact that you are a selfish and terrible human being. And I think that that is tragic, that people's compassion, because obviously people just want to do the right thing. They just want to feel good about doing the right thing. Some average individual who champions DEI, who champions the concepts of diversity, equity, inclusion, they would see this and think that he's on their side, but guess what? He's not. They never are. And that's kind of the thing that really upsets me about all of this, that humans are so inherently sheep-like that they're desperate to be part of the flock and just, be told what to think, be told what to say. This individual, when you actually follow his actions and the money, just like with everybody else in the world at this level, kind of sucks. And that really sucks. So that's how I feel about it. He makes terrible business choices. He can champion these concepts and have his little badge all he wants, but it won't change the fact that he is causing social injustice. That's right. It is an injustice that a CEO of a failing company can do what he did. And now other people, regardless of how you personally feel about those people, they had a job at one point and then they don't. Now, one could argue that the DEI practices, which relate to the ESG scores, which helped lead to investors, so that way Pete could sell the company, so that way he could get a nice bonus, right? You could say that, they lowered their standards, so obviously they have a lower standard of working there, of working individual, so that's why the product hasn't been as good. That all ties back to the fact that Pete is a bad person, because he created that environment, and now those individuals who probably shouldn't have had the jobs in the first place, they go from having a job, moving potentially for the job, living somewhere that's now too expensive for them, to now they've lost their job. Now they have to go relocate. Their whole life has to be uprooted and changed, possibly. How will they get a new job? Will they get a new job? Will they have to go do something else? This creates a lot of social injustice, regardless how you feel about the individuals who lost their job, regardless how you feel about the job that they did. Regardless of that, this individual created the environment that led to instability. And that's not cool in my book. It doesn't matter how many of those people maybe even did a really good job. They were still following a framework that ultimately Pete approved of. All right? He looked at the product coming out and he didn't seem to see a problem with it over the past few years. If they are DEI hires, I don't think so. It doesn't, yeah, it literally does not matter how you personally feel about the job that they did. He, at the end of the day, Pete Parsons, at the end of the day, created and approved of the framework to allow Bungie to where it is right now. So that way he could keep benefiting. That's it. It doesn't matter. People have lost their job. They gotta go figure something else out. Will they be able to get a job? Who knows? Who knows? But that all accounts to the social injustice that apparently he's fighting against with his millions of dollars. Give me a break. This is also another reason why I would be a terrible CEO, because I don't personally give a shit about making money. I just want a good product. He's not. Now, hold on. Chat has brought up an interesting point. He's just another Bobby Kotick. Bobby Kotick, regardless how you feel about Bobby, he made money. If you look at when Bobby joined and all the choices he made, it was up only. Was everyone else miserable around him? Oh, yes. Was he a shitty person? Most definitely. But there was no denying that his choices and his practices did lead to up only. It's Bobby's world, and we're all living in it. Just kind of like how everything's Todd Howard's fault, but there's no denying that we are just living in Todd Howard's world as well. So, and yeah, I'll show no sympathy for Papa. Now, I'm not asking anybody to show anything. I'm not saying you got to approve or disapprove of things. I just want to talk about things objectively. Never am I trying to sway people to feel bad for anybody. But it's just something to consider in the broader scheme of things. You know, when we're talking about businesses, talking about healthy business choices, how to create a healthy business environment, how to keep making money, and kind of the concept of selling out to investors who ultimately do not care at the end of the day about the product that they're investing in, just that they want up only. So, you know, don't try not to mistake my need for just observing a situation with any sort of emotional response. Granted, I am emotional towards Pete. Pete is not somebody I want to have tea with and speak to. Actually, I wouldn't mind honestly talking to him just to see where his brain's at. Just be like, dude, let's be real. Your Twitter bio's fucking bullshit, isn't it? And then I'd just like him to be like, yeah, it is. Because, you know, yeah. I'm not surprised. He needs to virtue signal as hard as he can because he's a terrible person. And it makes me happy that individuals expose that. You know, inviting people over to look at his car collection shortly before firing them. I think that that's abhorrent behavior. I think it's bad. Oh, man. But yeah, so he's virtue signaling as hard as he can. Has he tweeted since? He retweeted something. It's now... Yeah, he's retweeted stuff, but... he hasn't really said anything, and good, because he's a tone-deaf individual. He can show you his car collection, too. It's better than showing you his butterflies. What? Butterflies. Some of the other things going on in the world. I'm sure you've seen anybody here who's been following me knows. Where's my YouTube? Here we go. Oh! My goodness, I wasn't expecting anybody to show up. Hello, there's more than 3 of you. That's amazing. 3 being myself, my husband, and maybe one person who's just giving me a PewDiePie view. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I'm sure over the past few days, you guys have seen me lament about American payment processors not being able to support my favorite Japanese artists super easily. And then, of course, the censorship around that. Well, there's a couple of other problems going on as well that I think would be really, really good to talk about. So I don't know if anybody's seen this. This actually isn't the first time that I've seen it. We've also been kind of aware of this for... Oh, what? Get out of here. Go away. We've seen this for a while, and most people are like subconsciously aware of how much they're being tracked, but they're not. A lot of people aren't just going to go find this information, right? So major credit card companies are moving to make merchant code available for firearm and ammunition retailers in order to comply with a new California law that will allow banks to potentially track suspicious gun purchases and report them to law enforcement. Now, this doesn't sound, horrible. The idea of, maybe we should track purchases to prevent maybe some sort of criminal activity. But then you really stop and consider things. And just read the line over. Major credit card companies are moving to make a merchant code available in order to potentially track purchases. Get rid of all the fluffy words. Get rid of all the buzzwords. Major credit card companies are moving to have a universal code in order to track purchases. This kind of thing should be very scary for all, because they're not going to stop at firearms. No. And do you know why that is? Because data selling is incredibly profitable. They can sell that to advertisers. They can sell that information to anybody. Suddenly you have targeted ads based off of things you've already purchased, not just your viewing history, which you're already getting, but now your literal purchases. You will be tracked. If they go through with this, they have global power. You might say, well, this is just for America. This is just for a state. American payment processors are able to bully Japan into submission. That is horrifying and terrifying. And why is this? How do we know this? Well, if we come over here real quick, I just spoke about it recently, as much as I love showing off my Twitter and all of the dumb things that I say here. That's another worrying one. Where is it? Oh gosh, where did I do it? Here we go. Another Japanese store. This is a physical store. This is a doujin store. And doujin is basically just indie. It's where you can pick up basically fan-made or original stories by small groups or individual creators. Another Japanese store is being forced by American credit card companies to censor Japanese works. Pixiv. Patreon. DL site. There have been so many that have been subjected to payment processors. And the worst part is that Visa and MasterCard are claiming that works of fiction are something that they're not, because if you look at this phrasing here, they are preying upon an individual and hoping that no one will question it, because they use the word child pornography. Who wants to go against that, right? Who wants, if a credit card company says, hey, this store is selling child pornography and we don't want to support that. Most people would say, holy shit, that's a big deal. That's quite the accusation. You must have enough proof to say that so freely. So we're going to fuck off and just let you do your thing, because yeah, child pornography is a terrifying thing that should not exist. That the insinuation here of using the word child pornography means that this is of a real child being sexually exploited. But then you actually look at what they're trying to censor, and it's not. It is literally works of fiction that have nothing to do with child pornography. And their cries for censorship don't stop there, because if you look at the rules and regulations of Patreon, let me pull that up real quick. I should have had that open. Patreon guidelines were established because of the requirements from payment processors. So, here we go. Hopefully this actually has everything that I want it to. But, what the hell? Yes, I'm 18 older. All right, new Patreon guidelines. It is paramount that 18 plus creators demonstrate consent in all works, real or animated, photo, video, written, or audio between adult participants or characters. Specifically, a freely given, specific, informed, and unambiguous indication of consent by a statement or a clear affirmative action. Additionally, participants and characters, fiction, must be able to give consent. i.e. not under the effects of alcohol, drugs, hypnosis, or blackmail. Consensual non-consent works in which participants or characters engage in simulated non-consensual encounters are not permitted. So I want to go ahead and actually just re-highlight this. Consensual non-consent works in which participants or characters engage in simulated non-consensual encounters are not permitted. Why is this important? Because, again, these changes were made at the behest of payment processors. You cannot draw two drunk characters having sex, even if they're in a relationship, because there's no way for them to consent. You cannot participate in bondage. Many bondage content creators had to completely move off of Patreon, despite being solo creators, despite only strapping themselves together. They could no longer produce content on Patreon because bondage is consensual non-consent. They demand affirmative, clear consent of fictional characters, which means you cannot draw transformation art, even if there's no pornography involved. There's a very popular type of artwork that goes around Twitter. Sometimes it makes its way over to normie stuff, but if you look at, say, you type in the word character transformation, whatever, into either furry or an object or a fat person, whatever, right? This kind of thing is oddly popular. That type of artwork of just transforming a body type is not allowed because it is not consent. This is something that can only be expressed in fiction, and it's not allowed because it's not consent. Inflation is off limits. Inflation being the going from a skinny character to a fat character. It is not consent. So this was all done, again, at the behest of payment processors. Fictional works of art. Fiction. If I was telling a manga series, if I had a story that perhaps was about something, some sort of trauma deeply rooted in me, and I based some of the story around that, I could not tell that story. I could not use that as an outlet to heal trauma because it would not contain consent, even though it's fiction. Couldn't do it. They are telling people what to create and what not to create. So if we come back over here, this is what they're doing. A physical store in Japan that would have to follow the rules and regulations of Japan has been told that they cannot use an American payment processor if they do not remove certain works of fiction that are completely allowed to be sold in Japan legally. And they're calling it something that it's not. It's very sad. If I bring my cash to the bank to deposit it, would they need to know where I got it? It's strange that they want to force questions like that. Well, that's the world that they're creating. And by doing this, by payment processors doing this, who also happen to be credit card companies, which are tied to banks, all this is doing is moving people towards crypto. Now, I don't care how you feel about it personally. I don't care about the crypto bros. I don't care about all the memes, and I don't care about all the scams. Scams exist in every single industry because, well, they still go on. How many phone calls do you get that are from a scammer trying to steal your bank account? A lot. I know I do. In fact, that's the only one who calls me anymore. Regardless of how you feel about crypto, we are at an unfortunate stage that payment processors are accelerating adoption towards crypto. Going to cash and crypto, that's where we're going to be at because they want censorship. This isn't the first time that they've lied and manipulated language claiming child pornography was the reason. It starts there, but then it doesn't stop. Once they get that little bit of power, then they're like, oh, okay, well, if you're willing to get rid of that, then you're going to get rid of the rest of it. Cash is being absolutely destroyed. It is so much more convenient to go digital. But payment processors are going beyond just processing payments. They have for a while, and I finally have a platform decent enough to be able to kind of actually get this information moving, but I am one person. I don't know what I can do. What am I supposed to say? Hey, stop using Visa and MasterCard? Is that really realistic for most people? I know it would be incredibly difficult for me, and knowing that it's difficult for someone like me, I can only imagine how much more difficult it could be for other people. All we can do is just talk about it. Super chats when savvy, taking a break from the sad to talk about something adorably sweet and cute. Thank you so much for asking that. So I did put out a little tweet yesterday. I didn't expect this at all, especially because I hadn't been streaming for a while, but we are actually almost at the 3,000 total watch hours needed to be approved for super chats and live streaming monetization. And then in order to get ad revenue from your videos, you have to have 4,000 watch hours. So obviously we're almost there as well. I have a feeling possibly, I don't know how many people are watching or how it's all really calculated. I don't know how to read it as well, but holy shit. Okay, there's 100 of you here. Thank you so much for being here. Wow, I didn't expect that. Seriously, bless you, given the fact that this was a last minute stream. Truly heartwarming. I imagine that there's a chance that we might actually be able to get it. Your super chats are my super chats are probably gonna be weird, but I look forward to it. It's gonna be great. A lot of foot jokes, I bet. A lot of foot jokes. But that's okay. So we might actually hit my goal. I was just joking with my husband. This was many moons ago. When did I start streaming? When was my first stream? Let's go see. Where's my first stream? Taking a little break to talk about something goofy. It's always nice. Also, the fact that we're almost to like 6,000 subscribers too. That's wild. That's crazy. Thank you so much for everybody who's clicked that button. Honestly, don't feel like I deserve it. Very, 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 very kind. So let's see. I started streaming. It says streamed 1 month ago. So yeah, 1 month. So the first HR basement happened. Please don't actually speak the words. Jesus Christ. Streamed 1 month ago, but it doesn't have an actual date. It just says 1 month. So basically, in the course of a month, had I just streamed twice a week, we would have hit it. Based off of what I'm thinking. But I'm a lazy sack of garbage, and I didn't think that this would happen. But yeah. You just popped up on TNMNT one day a month or two ago. It feels like it's been like almost the whole year. Talk about it, point it out. If we can't switch off certain card companies, then we sign petitions and other stuff like that. Put these credit card companies back in their place. I am slowly working on documents. I will say this. I will say this too. Now we're going back to probably a little bit of seriousness. I am attempting to put together some documents that I can take down to DC in hopes to talk to a politician. I will literally talk to anybody who will listen to me. I don't care if they are Democrat. I don't care if they are Republican. I don't care if they are independent, socialist, libertarian. I don't care. So long as I present a clear and concise complaint and a solution, I don't care who listens to me. Because at the end of the day, all that matters is defeating censorship in all forms. I am against it when the extreme right does it. I'm against it when the extreme left does it. I believe they are two sides of the exact same coin clawing for power. I believe that that coin as a whole, though, has nothing to do with left or right. The coin is people like the payment processors who just want power. So for me personally, I will attempt to do what I can. I am close enough to DC that I can take the train in. And I will attempt to do what I can. I've already made phone calls. So I am trying. It's just, I don't know what will come of it. I don't know if anything could ever come of it. I don't know if anybody will ever take me seriously. I do present myself as kind of weird. And if anybody goes through my Twitter, then they'd be like, well, you're pretty cancelable. And I'll just be like, I don't care. So what if I'm into yaoi yuri and say dumb shit online? Am I wrong? Is the little pervert basement dwelling goblin wrong? Just post to X, let's get you monetized soon. Fighting the good fight is a noble job. Aw. Also, Spider is lurking. No, Spider! Actually, I baptized the basement with peppermint oil, so there haven't been any bugs in a while. But yeah, no, I am monetized on X, which I super appreciate. I do get the occasional $100 from it, which just goes straight to manga and doujin. So I try to support as many artists as I can, of course. Many of them, indie, small-time creators. My favorite artist, who I could finally buy a bunch of work from, has been doing it for 10 years, and she's just still like her lonesome, independent self. So, to be able to finally give her money was, oh man, dude, it felt so good. It felt so good to buy out her, like just click buy all on everything that oh man, it was such a good moment. Owning her art instead of just viewing it through a screen was truly magical for me. On the Japanese side, Ken Akamatsu and Kimi Onoda are working with mangaka to get a Japanese PayPal up and running to get past US and credit card companies. I'm going to have to look them up. I would like to, I don't know how I would help, but I want to help. I just want to help. I have had dreams since I was a little girl, actually, about doing my own localization translation company. And then eventually it went into, man, I wish it was easier to buy doujin in America. And I would love to just have a publishing company, something where anybody could just publish their work and any work of fiction could be sold on it, where it is not subject to regulation or rules from any credit card company. Because I got inspired, oddly enough, and this is probably not the best source of inspiration, but by 4chan. So regardless what you think of 4chan, there is still a level of, things aren't really controlled. You can go onto, the Y board, the H board, Yuri, Ecchi, whatever. You can find anything that you want. It's all fiction, though, So like that kind of thing, like that kind of, not having to be subjected to censorship is important to me. And I believe anyone in the world should have access to the kind of thing that they would like, when it comes to their fiction. Like, obviously, in the Middle East, LGBT stuff is not necessarily welcomed. I don't think a government should put a ban, though, that if somebody in the Middle East would like to read yaoi, for instance, they should have access to it if they want. They should not be penalized for making a purchase. I understand that this is now getting into a broader cultural spectrum, but this is how deep my hatred of censorship goes. I believe that if somebody wants to purchase works of fiction, they should be allowed to. So, imagine Savvy in a history textbook is the progenitor of a landmark case against censorship, the best timeline. That would be terrifying. I'm perfectly fine with being unknown to history. Really am. But if I could inspire something, that would be probably my greatest contribution to society. And above and beyond anything that I would have ever expected. If you had told me 5 years ago that I would be here doing this, talking about this, having a platform where people, thousands of people retweet and like the things that I say about censorship, I would have slapped you and called you silly. But yeah. So I don't know. It's all crazy and weird. But to get back to the original question, which was actually just about monetization, we're almost there. My husband, Mike, everybody from Geeksy Gamers, Side Scrollers, Yellow Flash, all of them. Everybody's bullying me, essentially. They've all said in some way, shape, or form, Savvy, hey, Savvy, you should just be consistent. Hey, Savvy, you should probably get to uploading. Hey, I'm sure those scripts are great. People would love to hear them. And then I'm just sitting here like, I could do that, or I could draw Professor Sycamore's butt today. So then I draw his butt. I'm a weird person, but I think there are more pressing concerns for people that want to read yaoi in the Middle East. Absolutely. Obviously, there's a potential war going on, but for the non-war-torn areas, if somebody would like to purchase their yaoi, I think that that's important, all right? Look, I'm not blind to the problems going on. I just think that there's problems all over the world, and even in war-torn areas, they deserve to be able to not have to worry about censorship. But priorities. Do I make money or do I draw hentai? I am a simple woman. All right? I see a butt, I want to draw it. Meanwhile, my husband's just like, okay, I know you're on your summer break, but like, go work. Go do something that will make us money too. And then I'm like, you didn't buy Ethereum when I told you to. Don't speak to me about that. Sav's a simple Fujo. Yes, I am. Why are you what do you procrastinate? Yes. Old man Hawk knows. Old man Hawk knows. Oh, you're actually streaming today. That means you're definitely procrastinating on something else then. I am. I actually am. I just got exposed in 4K. But yes, anyway, so let's jump into the next topic of news. So we talked about the American payment processors being big boo-boo buttholes who want to track your purchases. Game Informer. Game Informer is another great topic that I missed out on. So Game Informer, I guess y'all heard the news that they shut down. Now, originally I was kind of actually a little bit sad about it. Because I was like, oh my gosh, if I come over here, where is it? Oh, here we go. For those who maybe want to say, Savvy, you have no reason to care about that. I gotta cover there we go. I still have one of my old Game Informers that is easily accessible off to the side. This was released back in 2007, the golden years, right? So, Brutal Legend, Battlefield Bad Company. Man, they don't make them like they used to. Also, hello, welcome in everybody. SimCity Societies. Look at all this. They got a little bit of history here. Halo 3. Oh man. Neverwinter Nights 2. Conan. Look at it all. It was these magazines were amazing. Ugh. Oh, gross. A book. Ew, right? They used to be very cool. So, I actually, there was a little bit of a sad spot there when I heard that. But then I read this. Game Informer, Sex, Lies, and Video Games. We've got a beautiful bikini babe on the cover for our Dead or Alive. And then 2019. It can take some effort to piece it all together, and the rushed, uninteresting story you get out of the ordeal isn't worth the effort of having to edit it yourself. Worse yet, it occasionally leans into the series' penchant for cringe-inducing fan service. And I was no longer sad about Game Informer. It wasn't the magazine I knew. It wasn't the magazine I would run into the bookstore and go flip through and then not buy it. Wasn't that anymore. Nope. Cringe-inducing fan service. Get out of here, Game Informer. So, unfortunately, I no longer care. I'm sad for what it was because it was truly pinnacle good reading, good peak, good stuff. But, if they're going to say shit like that, well, I don't care. You don't like fan service? That's fine, whatever. I'm just not going to read your work anymore. And guess what happened? People stopped reading. Now, again, this comes back to leadership, however. Who was in charge to allow this individual to write? Screw you. I had a wholesome post. I meant to open with this. So, God damn it. So, this is, oh my God. I love these stupid accounts sometimes because it's just a nice cleansing of the timeline. So this is the world's tallest man meets the world's shortest women at the pyramids. Sultan is 41 and he is 8'1". Yoti, I don't know how to say her name. I'm sorry. From India, she's 30. She is 2'6". I saw this in an anime once. I ruin everything wholesome with that. But yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to show this. I think it's the cutest thing in the world. Like, she has a, they're both obviously developmental problems in terms of bone structure not growing normally. When you grow too tall, that is a type of disorder. There are also some that actually lead to people continuously growing throughout their entire life. Like they will always get taller. But yeah, no, they're both very, very, very cute. There's a little video here. I'm not gonna play it, but they're both so sweet, and it's just, I mean, look how big his hands are and how tiny hers are. It's just so sweet. So it's very cute that they met. But yeah. Anyway, I meant to actually open with that. I'm sorry. The mountain used to date a 5'3" woman. Oh man, like knowing the height difference and the size difference between myself and my husband. So my husband's 6'9". I'm 5'4", 5'5" on a good day. You know, knowing that how big of our size difference is, like to experience this in real life would just be like fucking fascinating. Like being her size, meeting somebody that massive is just wow. I hope for her sake he's a gentle. He comes off as that way. He really does. Like he just comes off as like a very kind individual. They both do. But yeah. Oh, man, I really was not prepared today. But this all ties back into some other things that I wanted to mention anyway, which actually ties to a tweet I made. This one. It's the one that I want to talk about next. Andre the Giant had similar problems. Yes. Yep. As humans, we have eliminated or bred our sister species, which is why we get dwarfism and giantism to a degree. Yes. 6'9", Savvy really has the yowie hand addiction. Listen. All right. Damn it. We're getting all kinds of off topic. Nobody wants to hear this. So back in the day, I used to have this very silly list of requirements because I was technically undateable for a while amongst all my friends. And so I said I needed a 6'6" man or taller. I needed him to not be American. He could have brown hair with bright eyes or freckles, or he had to have red hair. And then I didn't care about eye color. And then I just went off. I said, like, you know, he's got to be smart, but he can't be smarter than me. He has to be able to challenge me. He can't be into science the way I am. He needs to, you know, have interests in his own fields. That way we're not constantly arguing about who's right about what when it comes to specific terminology, blah, 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 right? So I had this big, huge, funny list of requirements. But every guy that I dated, and it wasn't very many, or got into a serious relationship with, never actually met any of those fucking requirements. So finally one day I said, you know what, I need to go back to my list because clearly I knew what I wanted, and whenever I don't adhere to what I want, things go bad. So I was sitting there with my friend one day. We were driving to somewhere, I don't remember where. And I said, do you know anybody who's super tall and not American? Maybe freckles, don't care. And she goes, actually, I do. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This is the first time we've talked about this. You know somebody who's really, really tall? Like over 6'6"? And she's like, yeah, actually, he's way taller than that. I'm like, okay. And he's not American? And she's like, no, he's very German. He's not even an American citizen. And I said, okay, I'd like to meet him, and then I'll marry him. And sure enough, that night, after I met my husband, I turned to her and I said, I'm going to marry this man. And I did. So yay. Yes, I did. And look, like most women, like most, no, Jesus Christ. I never said a specific skin color. However, my husband does have African feet for his genealogy, so suck it. I understand that most women are a little bit delusional and they all want the super tall guy because poor guy. It sucks for dudes, all right? I've met tons of short dudes who would make perfect, wonderful mates for women. They're very kind, wonderful individuals, right? My obsession with height stemmed from fictional men. This is still not helping it. I have a thing for lanky dudes. Now, I didn't want a buff dude. This is the difference between me and other women. All right. Other women are like, I want a super fit, muscular, tall dude, right? No, I was very specific. I like him lanky and I like a good hand. That's my husband. Is your husband built like an upside down triangle? No, he is built. How would I describe his body type? So because he's so tall, all of his proportions are exaggerated, but he's very thin. He's very thin and narrow. He has a cute little, I shouldn't be saying this. He's going to fucking kill me. I was going to say he's got like a cute little pudge. He's going to fucking kill me. He can never know I said this. It was the Yowie hands. It was. He's not a beanpole, but in my phone, he's actually, since day one of having his number, I did put him in as Beanstalk. But yeah, no, it is when you're a Fujo, hands are very important. I never wanted to admit that, but yeah. So anyway, he's gonna kill me. Polish woman dates a German man. There's actually some really great jokes about that. So my Polish family was very unhappy. So some of the Polish family, I actually had like pure Polish family in Poland who said you can marry anyone you want, but it can't be a German man. I want to know what makes good hands. Okay, so when I'm drawing hands, we are getting so far removed from the actual topic. We're getting so fucking far removed. Nobody wants to hear this. When I'm drawing hands, there's something really fun and fascinating about male hand anatomy. So your knuckles and like your the lines that come from that as well. They're really great details that I really enjoy. On top of that, the finger bone knuckles. This is so fucking weird. The finger bone knuckles are also just really fun details because if you look at the shape of a finger, like my fingers obviously don't have a crazy amount of shape to them, but male hands, there's kind of like multiple points of curvature, right? And so it makes for a unique, somebody's just gonna end up clipping this and be like, just say the really naughty thing that you want to say. But anyways, so a well-shaped hand with interesting lines and curvature. That is really sexy. Savvy's husband gossip is better than ESG. Yes. I like those fingerless gloves on a woman. Oh, yes. You put fingerless gloves on somebody and it's very sexy. This is probably the strangest conversation I've had. Sizable, and dexterous. He's a bit clumsy. You know, Kirsch's into hands too. Kirsha and I are just two peas in a pod. Savvy likes hand picks. Hand models are a thing, man. If a dude has nice hands and like long fingers, oh my God. Like he has the perfect hands for guitar playing. And he actually picked it up a little while ago. But so like we like curves on our women. Yeah, but it's like it's so much more specific. I also have an obsession with thighs and calves. Ever since I was young, I had always had a fascination with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's thighs, not in like a really pervy sense, but in the fact that like I admire the way that muscle builds and shows on men. It is it's truly like how do I describe this? The meat and the definition when you can see it from the front muscle going to the side is very, very wonderful. Yes, I was actually, I've been told, because I guess my hands are okay, that I could have been a ring model in another life, but whatever. On her birthday, Kisha rated her viewers' hands. You could join her for a hand rating segment. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to DM her about that. That's fascinating. Hand fetishism, dude. There's a thing for everything. There are people into armpits, people into the back of the knee, feet. You could point out anything. People just have fascinations with anatomy. These are the type of things I don't tell people. Yeah, I don't care. I've just honestly, I've stopped caring. I really have. If people are going to like me, then they're going to like me. And if they're not going to like me, well, chances are they probably already dislike me for something else or find me annoying for something else. So whatever. I'm just going to be me and be cringe. And sometimes doing that maybe shows other people that, I don't know, your weird is probably somebody else's weird too. Like I sure as shit am not original. I'm not the only person in the world who thinks this way. And to think that is very narcissistic and naive. I guarantee that there's plenty of other people out there who think the way that I do. And I would like to find those people so that way we can discuss the science of bone structure. I've embraced my cringe and it makes me happy for it. Am I a Zelda fan? I am. I'm a big Zelda fan. You have a thing for backs. Oh my gosh, lady backs. Oh, a woman with a well-defined back and that spine ridge. Ooh, the way it smooths out into the butt. That little space where the spine line ends on the back, and then you got the tailbone emphasis, and then right before it turns into the butt, that is sexy. Wait, new Zelda trailer? New Zelda trailer like right now? Huh? New Zelda trailer for what? Why would they just drop a random Zelda trailer? Oh, it's just echoes of Wisdom stuff. Okay, I thought it was like for a brand, like something we haven't seen. Oh, okay. I'll have to watch it later. It's 5 minutes. I don't want to watch it on stream, but that's super cool. I think Echoes of Wisdom will be really interesting and fun. I think it will be. Studying anatomy really gives you an appreciation for the way men and women look and form. Truly. And people who don't want to acknowledge those anatomical differences are so boring to me. Anatomical differences between men and women is actually truly fascinating, because if you really think about the way that the muscles form and how there is consistency among that, but then it still takes its own shape from person to person, it's just so cool. Like, I love, like when you look at somebody as tall as my husband compared to a dude who is 5'5", who's my size, there are clear trends in the anatomy that are very different, even though they're both men. But the way that the muscles have to stretch and form over them, or the way that their bones decide to lay on them, is just so cool to me. Like, it's so fascinating. That's another reason why I love having the size difference between me and my husband, because when I'm drawing, most of the time, the guys that I draw are all pretty tall. Not as tall as him in most cases, unless I'm drawing like Lysander and doing some fan art, because Lysander is like obnoxiously tall. But, you know, I have then live references. I can literally put his hand over mine, and then I can, you know, try to figure out, okay, if I want to draw, say, like an Amazonian woman, like a woman who's 5 or 6'1", you know, I can kind of take the shape of my hand and then kind of reference the way that his bones have expanded too. So it's just really nice. It's nice. But Savvy, we have to make men and women identical in the name of diversity. Ugh, right? Humans are amazing. Yes, they are. Exactly. I like to believe I am a short king. You are a short king. Short men are awesome, dude. Short men are great. All right. I'm not trying to shit on short men. I know that there's a lot of women who do, but unfortunately, you know, fuck them. They're shallow. Yes, I just called myself shallow because I had a height requirement. Don't care. I am shallow. You know what? No, fuck it. Another tangent. Every single person in the world should absolutely be shallow. You should not be so shallow where you're like, I am a bitch who deserves a bastard who's worth $1 million. You should not. No. Fuck you. That's not what I'm talking about. Every single person has preferences. Every single person, you know, needs to have certain requirements, because if you don't, and you end up with somebody who does not complement your life in a way that you can live symbiotically with them, you're going to have a bad time, and it's going to lead to divorce. Every single person should absolutely have standards and things that they want that they shouldn't negotiate on outside of the realm of finances. Now, obviously, you don't want an individual who has like, you know, $10,000 or more worth of debt on them for, you know, stupid spending. Obviously, a house or a vehicle or something like that is depending on those things, obviously. You know, not what I'm talking about. I'm saying, you know, you don't want somebody stupid with their money, but at the end of the day, you also don't like I didn't care how much he made. Didn't give a shit. I love my husband for the way he is with me, you know? And like, if he were to lose his job tomorrow, it would suck, wouldn't give a fuck. We'd make it work. Yeah, school debt, nobody gives a shit about, right? Just as long as you're making good choices. Now, if you're in school debt, I will preface this. If you went to college and you're a dude and you got a gender studies degree and now you're $50,000 in debt, you are a dumb bitch and you should fuck off. All right? I'll say that much. I will say that much. But yeah. Hey, talking about money, we should talk about ESG now. Wow, that was quite the fucking tangent. This is... Nobody gives a fuck about my dating habits, but I suppose it lets people in on like the kind of, you know, the mindset of a woman. Is husband an engineer? Trying to think of German Yeah, actually, he's technically an electrical engineer. He's a designer. He designs electrical harnesses for super important things, actually. He spends his day yelling at NASA. This is hyperbole a little bit. basically telling them that they're stupid because they don't understand life support systems. So, yeah, actually. So your husband is No, my husband is not a DEI hire. He did not go to college. This is, oh my God, fuck. I said we were going to talk about ESG. So he didn't go to college, but he started working for the company that he works at now at a young age, like fresh out of high school, and he worked on the assembly line. And then a family friend a little bit higher up said, hey, if you learn this stuff, I'll give you some books. We can actually get you off the assembly line and into the office. He would make more. And then he just kept growing and growing and growing. So he did the smart thing, and he is on an actual career path, but he doesn't have any formal education outside of high school. He's talked about wanting to go to college just to be able to get certified and, like, you know, learn more than just the program he's been taught and like how to do those things. He wants to actually have the bigger foundation of it and then learn some of the other programs too, because it would make him hireable and more competitive in the industry. But at the end of the day, he's actually doing really, really well. Is he in the military? No military. A German electrical engineer. Funny hat with 2 little lightning bolts. Oh God. I meant DEI. Oh, DEI hire for you. You just ticked off boxes. Yes. Essentially, yes. Oh man, but think of the watch time savvy. Getting off topic is great. Yeah, see, again, this is so when I first started getting called, we're off topic again, fuck. When I first started getting called a grifter by some of these people, I just sat there and laughed because I'm the worst fucking grifter. I'm also like just the worst artist in general because I'm one of the few artists who has been able to make a living through commissions who doesn't actually have a shop. You can't buy my prints. I don't sell keychains. I don't do an excessive amount of fan art. I actually managed to get by just off of word of mouth. I've been really fucking lucky for the 10 years that I've been in business for myself. It doesn't make sense. Nobody... Literally, like, my story is like a 1 in a million kind of, because typically artists have to constantly market themselves. They have to constantly, draw fan art or sell things in their shop and that kind of thing. It's not just typically commissions, unless, of course, you're getting into now with the rigging stuff. And, but even then, that's still like active. Whatever. Anyway, so when they started calling me a grifter, I'm like, man, I don't even have a YouTube channel. Man, I don't even have anything monetized. Oh shit, my Twitter got monetized. Oh, see, that just proves you're a grifter. Okay, well, I'm gonna spend my money on plants and Daojian, but that's fine, I guess. Yeah. So I'm really bad at it. But everybody's like, oh man, if you just get monetized on YouTube, and I'm just sitting here like, yeah, I could focus on that, or I could just go draw myself some butts. So, am I on Rumble? Nope. I don't even re-upload to Rumble. I'm partnered on Twitch, but I refuse to go back to that platform. I could have been monetized from day one, technically, but I don't want to give Twitch money because I disagree with them. Are you at the convention's optional level of artists? So I've never done a convention. I've been invited to do them, but I've never done them. I don't have any form of merch. I don't prepare my work for merch. I don't have ever merch in mind, but I'm taking some of my sketches and I will be converting them into something because more and more people, now that I'm no longer in the shadows, people are actually asking for stuff, which is like super overwhelming, but like really, really wholesome and warm. But then it's like I just look at my art and I'm like, is this really good enough to sell? No one's gonna buy it. But yeah, so if you survive on word alone, you must be real good at drawing butt. It's funny because I didn't even sell that much butt. It's just so back in my Twitch days, I would stream 50 to 80 hours a week. I would do 24-hour streams, but then I would do hundreds of emotes every month, and that alone was enough. I even managed to do some larger streamer emotes for a while, and that was cool, but then I got really sick of it. And then my life fell apart. So I switched courses for a little bit, and I took a big step back, but then I met my husband, and everything's awesome. So it is true. Yeah. And I actually had to turn people down. I mean, is it really that good moment? Yeah. A lot of people do that. Ricada ruined the word grifter by overusing it. Yeah, I think it's a stupid word. I don't think it really means anything to anybody anymore. The only grifters that I really like, if I ever seriously use that word, it's usually in response to like somebody running a charity who's getting a 6-figure salary. Like, I don't think that's... Did my screen turn blue? I don't know. This happened before, but whatever. But yeah. So, incel gained no traction. Grifters, the new attempt to... Well, because incel had been used for so long, too, that nobody cares. Because they were calling married men incels. And then I think even somebody who, like, didn't think that I was actually a whammon, I've been called an incel before. Yeah, we're all grifters, and it's like, okay, you called us a word. Don't care. Whatever. Aren't you supposed to be taking care of virtual pets? Yes. Normally there would be a second box here because I started doing that, but I didn't turn on Pets 5. Bad at my job. I'm just bad at everything. Anyway, ESG. Let's get back on topic. Nobody wants to hear me ramble about my life and the things. Oh, femcells is a completely different rant, though, that I do want to go on one of these days. So, what happened? Japanese conglomerates promoting DEI and ESG initiatives invest in anime and manga industry, free-run publisher Shogakukan, among other partners. So, the original tweet, gaming's up, conglomerates, ooh, this is popular, time to invest. Gaming go down, comic book movies go up, ooh, this is a popular thing, let's go invest. Comic go down, anime and manga's on the rise despite struggles in the industry, ooh. So, why is this important? Once again, these people come in and they say, hey, I'm going to invest in this, but we're going to bring over the ESG and the DEI because of the benefits that we get from it in America, and we're going to bring it over to Japan, which we've already seen them whispering to politicians because politicians are now parroting these words. None of it comes from a genuine place. It just comes from, hey, there's this thing called an ESG score. There's this thing called an ESG score that ties directly to investors. Oops. So as you can see, ESG scores have absolutely nothing to do with the product being sold. And this is important to note because it all ties together. Again, the things that are directly related to ESG is DEI. And what does DEI do? It lowers hiring practices and standards in order to meet a certain quota, so that way certain amounts of people, regardless if they should have the job or not, get the job. So, what did I say? They come in and they ruin things every few years. Remember, not a single investor cares about what they're actually investing in. They just want up only. This is true. How many times have we seen this, right? So DEI is tied to ESG. ESG is ultimately the issue when it comes to influencing the way that leadership buys and sells their products, their businesses, whatever. It's all connected in the great circle of life. So I just brought this up just to kind of reinforce that point. We're excited to share key highlights of our ESG efforts across the website. To read all about our ESG efforts in detail, we invite you to download our 2022 ESG reports. What is this from? This is activisionblizzard.com/ESG reports. They do this every year. And the reason why this is important is because it helps bring in investors. Guess who's investing in Activision Blizzard? BlackRock, Vanguard, and Blackstone. Oh my God, who could have guessed? These people also participate in... Do I have that open? Oh, this is going to be the next thing that I talk about too, before I get too far ahead of myself. So BlackRock and Vanguard actually, even when they invest in something, they usually get anywhere between a 1 to 10% hold in a company, right? But they actually participate in it, and then they nudge them and they say, hey, if you do this, this will attract more investors, and then we'll invest even more because you have more investors, and more money coming in will totally mean more money coming to us, right? It's really dumb. It's really dumb. The ESG steering committee is chaired by our chief administrative officers. And as you can see, they've got a whole team responsible for this, blah, blah, blah. Championing our people, advancing diverse and inclusive communities, and protecting the planet, right? So you can say like, oh, these things are totally good. Why would you ever oppose this? Well, because you have to look at the leadership, you have to look at the quality of the product, and then ultimately what's changed over time is they adopted these things and started putting out these reports. Are they actually beneficial? Does it make a better product? Does it actually mean anything in the grand scheme of things when it comes to consumer satisfaction? Well, unfortunately for the entire fucking world, our video games are not good anymore. Our movies are not good anymore. Our TV is not good anymore. And a lot of people tie everything back to ESG and DEI, but at the end of the day, it's the leadership in charge and the way that investors kind of present themselves and say, hey, in order for us to invest in you, even though we have nothing to do with this world, you have to have a tasty ESG score, which, by the way, tobacco companies can have massive ESG scores. Look at this, 99%. Holy shit. An investor comes in and they look at that and say, wow, you have such a high ESG score. Holy shit. Look at that. That's crazy. You can have such good ESG scores as a tobacco company? That's wild. And yes, there was a meme going around. You can find it on Twitter, but it is actually based in reality. There are tobacco companies that actually have higher ESG scores than Tesla. Tesla, of course, as you know, produces electric vehicles. They are, however, at the end of the day, more so a software company than they are anything else. They just happen to ship their software in hardware that you drive. But yes. Look at the new Batman show. Exactly. That is ESG, DEI bullshit all over it. A lot of the feel-good words that mean nothing. Exactly. There is nothing but feel-good words from people who don't want the world to feel good about their words. They just actually want to buy cars. 50% less smoke from our cigarettes. Yeah, so that's kind of why I brought this up. Now, just to kind of reinforce and let people know that it's not just DEI that obviously is part of ESG. So these are companies that come in here and kind of help give guidelines. So ESG regulations in your company, actions you can take now to transform your ESG reporting strategy. The SEC's climate disclosure rules are the latest to require expanded ESG reporting. So again, the reason why this is important ties it all back together. You get government benefits based off of your ESG reports relating to the climate part of it. So the SEC now has new disclosure rules, and it can be beneficial for a company to actually expand on that, whether or not they're actually doing anything of value. Stupid things like switching your lights from fluorescent to LED falls under ESG and helps your score. It has nothing to do with the video game that they're producing. And how do I know that specifically lights have been brought up? Well, if you go look at Dina, the people, sorry, I had to go from memory there. DNA, the people who make Pokemon Masters, the mobile game that I gush over, which, by the way, if you didn't know, Young Yeah, one of our very, very own YouTubers in the news community gaming world, he actually got to do the American voice acting for Larry, one of my favorite characters. Make sure you show him some love. Say, hey, man, that's super cool, because that is really cool that he got to do that. Anyway, Pokemon Masters, made by Dina. They have a segment on their website that talks about ESG, and they specifically stated things like, we make sure that we have our climate control in terms of regulating thermostats. We switched out all of our lights to be LED and low electricity using. Things like that contribute to an ESG report, but it has nothing to do with the quality of the product that they're working on. So that's why these things are important to companies. That's why these reports come out. It's why these things get talked about. And for the ESG scores, that's, again, doesn't matter to the product, but for some reason to investors it matters because of the government benefits around it. Is it better than his Kiryu voice? So Larry is meant to kind of sound very monotone and plain. I think that he does a pretty good job. I also believe, and this is just my personal preference, this has nothing to do with his actual performance. I also believe that Americans do not receive the same kind of direction or feedback from leadership when it comes to voice acting. So in terms of an American voice actor, for the quality of the game and like for the character, I think he did a swell job. I think his tone and the laugh that he did, good shit. I think it's good. So yeah, he should have never been an. Oh well, it's to each their own. I think people will feel certain ways, obviously, about certain performances. I don't typically like partake in any form of English content. I try to play everything in Japanese. Like even regularly, I use the Japanese voices for Pokemon Masters. But I think it's actually really cool that he had the opportunity to do that. Larry has good hands. Larry, okay, here we go. Pokemon Masters does not normalize their fucking models. This is again, we're going off topic, but this is something I'm very passionate about and something that I rant about often in a Discord. So Pokemon Masters does not normalize their models between characters. And I've gone off. I have a tweet about this because it bothers me so much. They don't normalize anything. So Guzma ends up looking so tiny compared to everyone else. However, Raihan and Lysander, who are meant to technically be canonically some of the tallest characters, end up not being that tall compared to other people because the models are not normalized. So this makes Larry look fucking massive. Now, I just imagined Larry being a little bit taller than average, but not like comparable to Raihan and Lysander. So, but if I'm just going based off of what I see, yeah, he'd have good hands. Yeah, he'd have good hands. Subbed is superior to dubbed. That is true, yes. Larry is going to get his young out. Oh my God. You're more than welcome to your wrong opinion. That's all we can tell people. Oh man. So like what they do with Pokemon models, essentially, wait, Larry is a tired business dude from Scarlet and Violet. Now I remember, yeah, he's the normal dude. He's the normal dude who is literally so extraordinary. He is so fascinating for a Pokemon character. He is the first one that we've ever seen have a dual role between gym leader and being an Elite Four member. And the structure, the social structure, the way that they set it up is so cool to deep dive into. I already did videos on this. I'm very passionate about these things. I love overthinking it. I love what they've done with the characters in Pokemon, and I hope that it continues. But, you know, at the end of the day, most people just play for the Pokemon, and that's totally fine. But I really appreciate. He's just a normal man. He literally is just a normal man. He is. I think I've told Craig, I'm like, you're literally Larry. And then he just looks at me and he's like, can you shut up? He doesn't ever say that. Craig is so nice to me. He tolerates me, but I'm just like, why do you tolerate me? Young is thin-skinned and can't handle criticism. Oh, well, I don't know him personally. I just think it was a really cool experience. And I hope that I hope that he had fun with it. I really do. Wasn't Lance a gym leader? Nobody gives a fuck about Lance. No, I think he was a former gym leader, wasn't he? But yeah, is this the same chick who makes dry sandwiches? Yes. Larry is the real hero. He absolutely is. Anyway, so this was my long kind of tying everything together, kind of ramble on ESG and explaining why ESG is super important to consider and why all of this is happening right now in relation to this. And so, given these things and kind of understanding leadership will help us make more informed choices, not only on the things that we buy, but perhaps even the companies that we apply to work at. Just something to consider. And the way that you read these things and kind of tie it all together, because I never expected to be, so I have a script I'm working on, and it starts off with censorship. And then I tie it all to Blackstone investing into the housing market and how they are leading. So censorship directly ties to the global housing crisis. Making that video be digestible for the average person is definitely a bit of a challenge. But I think so long as I lay out the framework and show enough proof to the connections and the way that my mind kind of ties it all together will help people when discussing DEI. Because at the end of the day, again, DEI is just a symptom of the problem. Sweet Baby Inc., which I actually bring up in the script, is just a symptom of a problem. So it is something that I am working on. It's quite it's a challenge to make sure though that it remains interesting all the way through, and I'm not just word vomiting at people. So yes, I did pull the sandwich bait and switch with my husband, and he did actually watch that live. And he did say, he gave me a look after, and I knew what was being referenced. And he goes, I can't believe you just reminded me of that experience that we had. And I said, I love you. And he says, I love you too. But yeah. So anyway, companies like this help with ESG regulations in your company and things like that. So super important. Now, let's talk about my favorite company in the world, Blackstone. Second quarter 2024 earnings misses expectations. Now, keep in mind their expectations were through the roof because that's Blackstone. Some people might say, holy shit, look at their revenue, 2.67 billion. That's revenue, down 2.6% as a company that wants to go up only. And as a company that also does asset management and investing, this 2.6%, even though it's something that we just go, whoa, senpai, holy shit, that's a lot of money. You're doing really good. They would say, no, it's not good enough. Their net income, $444.4 million, down 26%. We do love to see this, though. Their profit margin, 17%, down from 22%. The decrease in margin was primarily driven by higher expenses. EPS, down from 0.58 to 0.79. Why is any of this important? Well, because it talks about it kind of relates to a lot of the choices that they're making. They are, in fact, making a lot of choices right now to aggressively invest in Japan. They recently just spent nearly $2 billion on an e-reader manga platform. They also, over the years, have been investing in Japanese real estate, the Japanese medical market, and they became a majority shareholder in the largest payment processor for Japan, Sony Payment Processor. They've been working with Sony actually for a very long time, which is something that I'm still reading about because they've done quite a bit together, and I'd like to make sure I have all my facts before I talk about everything. George, hello! Hello, thank you for stopping in on my ramblings. I hope that you're doing well. So Blackstone. So Blackstone is very bad for the world. And again, I have got is that why they nipped Pixiv? So the stuff with Pixiv comes from payment processors like Visa and MasterCard. However, Visa and MasterCard, of course, have BlackRock, Vanguard, and Blackstone investing in them. So it's hard to say if it came specifically from the payment processor or if it was something nudged to them by one of these asset managers. But either way, Blackstone, which I've spoken about before, they are the ones who in Sweden bought up 24,000 properties between apartments and homes over the course of 3 years. And in those 3 years, they raised rent 40%. This is before the union could come in and realize what was going on. Many of the people who rented from them complained about being charged for basic fixes. And on top of that, the problems that they had were only, they exponentially grew because even though they claimed they came in and fixed things up, things were actually worse off than when they first came in. So Blackstone has also contributed a lot of money, several $1 million, to oppose a common sense housing regulation laws in California that would basically prevent companies like Blackstone from aggressively buying real estate and jacking rent 40%. So right now, the current state of we don't need you. The current state of Japan is a little bit scary, and I retweeted this last night. I didn't think I'd be referring to my own tweets so much. Breaking Japan, absolute chaos in Japan as stocks are on track for their biggest decline in more than 8 years after they already suffered their biggest decline 8 years ago last Friday. Decline in 8 years last Friday. And the reason why this is important, so this ties directly to their banking situation. They actually just had interest rates hike up to try to prevent inflation, but the value of the yen has been going down for a little while. And that is beneficial to companies like Blackstone because they have already stated unapologetically that they would like to invest more heavily in Japan. Like I said, they are getting into their entertainment, their medical, and their real estate. And these are things that people kind of need to survive. Well, you don't need entertainment to survive, but it's nice to have. We all love our stuff. So if this trend continues, obviously recessions are poo-poo. But my big concern is what companies like Blackstone will do in these times because they have millions and millions and billions of dollars to be able to just, like I said, they threw $2 billion at an e-reader manga platform, right? They used $2 billion. And if they have $100 billion to play around with, which they do, they're just going to buy up all of the apartments, all of the homes in Japan to then jack up rent. Now, even if they fail, even if nobody is able to afford those things, people will still, bend over backwards to try to still live in the same place that they have been. But what this does is causes people to have to live outside the city. They have to move. They have to switch jobs. Maybe there's an inconvenience there. Maybe they have to get a new job because of it. It is only bad for the world. It is very bad what they are doing. Was BlackRock, if I remember correctly, originally part of Blackstone? Very good question. They actually were. Founded many moons ago, they were actually the same company. And if we come over because I already have a thread on it because I'm me. Where am I? We're still referencing myself like a terrible journalist, but it's fine because it's all actually public information. By the way, here it is. Here's the original thing. World's largest alternative asset manager company, Blackstone, just dropped $1.7 billion on a Japanese e-manga platform. Is this a sign of things to come? Blah, blah, blah. Which, by the way, he is Wef Baby. So if we come over here, let's go ahead and do a quick boop. So what is Blackstone? It is a global investment firm that works in alternative asset management. They grow capital for investors, provide financial security for retirees and investors, and contribute overall to economic growth. BlackRock and Blackstone used to be part of the same company, Blackstone Financial Management, which was an acquisition company in 1988. BlackRock did separate from them during that time. BlackRock, owned by Larry Finkelhecker, he has seen the successes of Blackstone and actually expressed interest in mimicking their movements into real estate. So very uncool. Of course, all of this information is publicly available. You can click on all of these links. I make it super easy so that way everything can be referenced because it's not just my words. It's literally their own words. I break down Stephen A. Schwarzman, which, by the way, the CEO of Blackstone was actually part of Trump's trusted cabinet back in 2016. So for anybody who thinks that, there's a political trend, there isn't. This individual is a lifelong Republican. He has Democrats who work directly under him in higher positions. None of that matters. The politics of any of these people do not matter because their end goal is the same. They wish to control, they wish to be the pinnacles of money, and nobody will own anything and they will like it, whereas only 7 people who run the world will own everything and they will like it. So this individual is not a good person. He has been acknowledged in the top 100 most influential people. He's ranked top 50 in Forbes' list of most powerful people in the world, and is one of Barron's world's best CEOs. These people, like I said, censorship is part of 2 sides of the same coin, but the coin at the end of the day is just the coin of control, which is these crazy individuals who are literally doing terrible things, right? So BlackRock, Blackstone, Vanguard, they say one thing, they have ESG reports, they tout DEI, and even the Republican-run Blackstone actually has a DEI page on their website, but none of it means anything because, again, if you were truly for DEI, if you truly gave a damn about ESG, which is essentially supposed to be something that is beneficial to the world, right? If you supposedly care about these things and you make it part of your business, why would you oppose legislation that would prevent companies like Blackstone from being able to jack up rent? That doesn't sound very DEI, ESG kind of approved. These companies say one thing, but then they're always acting a different way. Trillions are at stake. They want to return to the days of lords and serfs. We never changed. We just started calling it different things. So my battle is not a political party one. Mine is literally, it started with just censorship, man. All I gave a shit about was censorship. If you had told me back in January that my thread about the EGRN or Take This, the charity organization, and the whole Gamergate thing, if you had told me that I'd be writing threads on Blackstone and linking that to censorship, I'd have slapped you silly. This is insane to me, right? I am just a basement-dwelling nerd who likes to draw butts. But here I am talking about these terrible people who are causing the global housing crisis. And it's not even, like it's in Sweden where I reference their most egregious work, right? Like, this is crazy. This is also the most fascinating part to me. I'm sorry, I'm getting really off. I'm getting too specific on talking about Blackstone right now. But so the University of California, which again, progressive land, progressive university, came under fire in 2023, going against the university's union, which, by the way, progressive. Unions are typically a good thing. People like unions. The left champions unions. So the University of California, Progressive University of California, went against the union and gave $4.5 billion to Blackstone's real estate trust. And so this is how Blackstone makes its money. Companies, people, groups, universities put money into this real estate trust, and that trust goes towards buying up real estate, which they then jack up the costs of, and all of the profits from the rent get split among investors. You don't have to take my word for it. They actually explain it on their website. That's the only reason why I know about this. I couldn't come up with something like that. Sure, like you could look at it and you could follow it, but they do this. They put that information out there. It's public. So public institutions like the university have come under criticism and question in the recent years for their involvement with private equity business. Keep in mind, the University of California receives money from the government, which they're giving to Blackstone to then buy up homes to jack up rent. I lost one of my best friends over sharing some of your research on Take This. Good riddance, too. He's a shill for corrupt institutions. And that's sad. Nobody should lose friends over information. We should be able to have passionate discussions about things, but at the end of the day, still, you know, like, come together, you know? Someone clip that? Oh, no, what did I do? Oh, gosh. But, yeah. So, everybody's favorite group, the UN. So the UN, despite all of its poor choices and being touted as kind of shitty by a lot of people, the UN has accused Blackstone. Again, this isn't coming from me. This is literally coming from World News. I link everything. You can go to my pinned stuff under highlights to view this information yourself. This is literally so easy to find. Just highlights. Come down here. I try to pin stuff that's useful. I realize some of the stuff isn't completely useful, but yeah, so here's the Blackstone thing. So if we come back, where was it? Here it is. So the UN is the one, what the fuck? The UN is the one accusing them of contributing to the global housing crisis due to inflating rent and aggressive evictions. Due to the way that they share profits from real estate investments, BlackRock has been accused of charging excessive fees for basic repairs, shrinking affordable housing in many countries, pushing lower to middle income tenants, and I made a typo, of course, from their homes. They naturally are disappointed such an accusation would be made, Blackstone, despite their hundreds of thousands of homes that they own across the globe. And they are still, every single day in America, actively buying up thousands of homes. You can actually probably go somewhere in your local town, look up a real estate group, and probably find ties to either Blackstone, BlackRock, or Vanguard. We talking about BlackRock or Blackstone here? You've said both. Both. We're talking about both because you actually can't talk about one without the other. Blackstone is invested in by BlackRock and Vanguard. But now, interestingly enough, BlackRock did come down, I think, 1% in their holding stake of Blackstone, if I remember correctly. Blackstone bought up a majority stake in the largest Swedish property manager, upped rent by 42%, and over 3 years bought an additional 5,000 properties, bringing the total to 21,000. I'm sorry, I said 24 before, but it's actually 21. It came under fire from the tenant union, but they got out before anyone could notice what was really going on. Blackstone came in, raised the rent, took the money, and got the hell out. A social democrat MP said, "We aren't used to that in Sweden. We're used to companies like Volvo and IKEA," which Volvo and IKEA are not greedy like that. So they didn't think to do this. They were also fined a lowly $1.5 million for child labor scandals in a company that they directly own. Now, $1.5 million doesn't even cover a percentage of what the owner of Blackstone makes, Stephen A. Schwartzman. So very fascinating. They could just keep paying fines, and so long as the punishment for a crime is a fine, then we have a two-tier justice system that will never work or do anything or lead to any form of change because it doesn't, you know, $1.5 million is nothing to these people. They're like, whatever. Keep hiring the kids. We save enough money. This pays for itself in like 3 days. So it's very poo-poo. The friend sort of lost his mind after I exposed a lot of different things that he couldn't accept were true. He's still a C-19 jab. Oh, believer. Oh. Yeah, well, you know, I'm all for, like, if you believed one thing, but then enough evidence came out that the thing that you believed in was actually bad, like, you should be allowed to change your mind. And I don't like it when people aren't able to do that. Like, all you have to do is look at the lawsuits around the pharmaceutical companies. That's enough to change my mind. Granted, I was already on the fence about it because something just, the science wasn't sciencing to me. All right? Like, with a biology degree, being pre-med and taking some of the classes that I did, I'm not saying that I'm some sort of vaccine expert. I'm aware that vaccines have been worked on, you know, for years and years and years and decades and things like that. But you have to have long-term studies, and you're not just going to come up with something that's just gonna work for everybody. So I really wanted more science to come out, but unfortunately we had to get them. And then now look at all the lawsuits. And the reason why, actually, if you look at this is my other favorite thing to always show people. Pharmaceutical political donations. This is a really, really good one to show people. Just because we're a little off topic, but that's okay. So if we look at, so this is Open Secrets. This kind of tells you the pharmaceutical and health product industry, including not only drug manufacturing, but dealers and medical products, blah, blah, blah. So they will donate to politicians, obviously, because they want to be in good favor. So to Dems from Abbott Laboratories, almost $400,000. To Republicans, $400,000. To conservative groups, oh, that's interesting. Get out of here. Pfizer. To Dems, because Dems have been in power, right? So obviously they're going to make higher donations to the people in power, which are Democrats right now, $700,000. But they still donated $600,000 to Republicans. They don't give a fuck about anybody. They do this so that way they can keep being in good standards with politicians. That way they can be protected for the shit that they do. That's what it is. That's why I say money does not belong in politics. You can be a rich person in politics, but you cannot be accepting money from corporations, from businesses like this. Look at Johnson & Johnson. They have some of the biggest lawsuits right now. This is an even split almost. They have a couple $100 more to Republicans, but they don't care. Did they donate the money or just refund it? These are contributions between 2023 and 2024. So this is all anybody needs to hear. If anybody thinks Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson gives a shit about them or producing a good quality product, they don't. It's about protection. You need to send your research to AJ at the Y Files. He has the platform to get this info out. You know, if he feels like it, maybe, yeah, I could try to, you know, pass things along. I'm sure there's no way, though, that I'm like the only person looking into this. But yeah. Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoy it. But yeah, so like these kinds of things, again, it's not a political battle to me. I look at these. I have this information in the back of my head at all times. And I'm like, yeah, Republicans and Democrats are just the same thing. They're just saying different things. And the only reason, and this is going to be like the only time that I really, truly talk about like politics and like Trump on my personal channel, I'm fine with it on other people's, but on mine, like the reason why Trump is so interesting to me, especially now, is because he's not a politician. That's what people like about him. He is not a politician. He does not give a shit. If Pfizer came into the office while he's sitting there, and then he'd be like, well, see, you've given the Republican Party a lot of money, but you also gave the Democrats lots of money. And that to me sounds a little fishy. Now, I don't know why you're giving both money, but you've done some very not nice things. You know, like I could see that happening. And that would be awesome to me. Fuck Pfizer, man. Now, I also do have a personal stake in this because fuck the medical industry. I developed my sun allergy because of the medical industry. I had a very severe reaction to a drug called Tamiflu, and I did call the company and I did try to get things sorted, but I was told at the time that I wouldn't have a lawsuit because obviously the doctor was very scared and I was very stupid and going through a lot of really bad things, so I didn't follow through with a lawsuit. But they actually just sent me off to somebody to report it, and then they're like, yeah, that doesn't really sound like it was caused by us, bye. And I'm like, what do you mean? You have reports of children ending up in the hospital with similar problems of what I experienced. I just happened to experience it worse. So, fuck them. Fuck them. As far as I'm concerned, fuck them. Politicians are meant to represent the people, not corporations. The whole lobbying donation thing undermines the whole point of the democratically elected politicians. Yeah, except that hasn't happened for a while, unfortunately. And it's very frustrating. You like Trump, but he helped push the vid. The vid vax through. Yeah, and you know what though? So I cut some people a good bit of slack during that time because he wasn't with the in crowd. He was just trying to do something that would genuinely look good. And so everything around COVID, almost, I'm not going to say, I shouldn't say everything. Let me rephrase this. A lot of things around COVID were done by people who weren't on the in crowd, who just wanted to do the right thing. I genuinely believe that had we not had the fear-mongering discussions around the vaccine, most people would have still, you know, like I think the response would have been, hey, this could be good, you know, but the demonization, the demonization and the rhetoric around it was so bad that's what caused, you know, people to stop being friends for not wanting the vaccine. Like, it should be a completely normal response to want more information about something that you're going to inject in your body. That should have been the norm. And the fact that it wasn't was really scary. He was wrong about vaccines, but most people, yeah, he just wanted to do something that looked good. He didn't make it mandatory, but other people who are part of the in crowd who knew better still wanted to. So as a political achievement, it was impressive. Thank you. Yes, exactly. It was as a political achievement. Because what that looked like, we're going to frame this in a political manner. There's no emotion attached to this. Here is a president dealing with a problem that hasn't been seen for 100 years, right? We haven't had a global pandemic, a disease that was killing people, that was highly infectious, right? We haven't had that in our lifetime. And so what happened was, again, please remove emotion for this, was we had the parties come together to try to provide legislation that was approved by both sides. This is kind of the same thing that happened after 9/11. Bush had a very high approval rating, even though his choices were not the best, because we can look back and say, okay, what happened was wrong. But at the time, the approval rating was through the roof, right? So it's really important to be able to look at things objectively. So from a political standpoint, he did the best that he could with the information that he had. And I will give him the benefit of the doubt that he did not know what was really going on. So, yeah. 125 likes and 133 watching. Oh my God, thank you guys so much for being here listening to me ramble. It was a case where both parties came together to decide how best to remove citizens' freedoms, to not let the crisis go to waste. Yeah. Exactly. At the end of the day, we can still, we come back now and we look at it, okay, this was handled very wrong. The pandemic was definitely handled wrong. I think one of the most important key pieces of information that they did not share was that the people who were dying were at-risk people and obese people. But in America, you can't just say, apparently, that, hey, if you're fat, if you're over the certain weight, or if you qualify for being the average female body in America, you are at more risk. Like somebody like me, even with a weakened immune system, I have a diagnosed weakened immune system, right? Somebody like me is actually fine with COVID, whereas if I was about 100 pounds more, I probably would have died. That is important information. That is very important information, but in the interest of people's fifis and not hurting anybody, they didn't say that. Old people should have been understood. Yeah, listen here, I'm fat. And hello, welcome. Yeah, it happened everywhere. It happened everywhere. But the big thing is Trump never made it mandatory, which a lot of other people wanted to. And those people should always have their words thrown back at them. Justin Trudeau is an insane individual, and we can look at the way that he handled it and the way that he's talked about it and the way that he used fear-mongering and all of this shit. We can compare that to the way that Trump handled it and then the way that some others handle it and some other nations handle it. But, you know, it's just, it was insane. In other words, information is being manipulated. Yes, information was being manipulated, and it is constantly being manipulated. However, we do live in the age of information, and I am fortunate enough to live in a country that I am allowed to come on here onto live stream to discuss these things, and it's super awesome and cool, and we definitely need to kind of, you know, really appreciate little things like that from time to time. Your mom has a weakened immune system due to a kidney transplant. Yeah. My grandmother, she was a transplant recipient actually from my uncle, and so the both of them, you know, they really needed genuine information to come out, and unfortunately, the genuine information was poo poo, and it led to them, you know, having to live kind of shitty lives for a while, and it just led to the mental health decline of so many people. But I mean, we all got through it, and a lot of people still haven't healed. The censorship at the time was absolutely insane. And actually, oh man, we're really getting off topic. So this is something else that I am preparing to do a bigger deep dive in, because I'm trying to actually find more information on this. But if we go back to the original thread that started it all for me. So this is how many of you found me, through the generosity of so many other bigger names retweeting this information. It's how I've actually managed to build up my platform. I never once thought that any of this would happen. I just happened to look into it because I really... so I've worked for the government. I don't talk about this really at all. But when I saw the line from TakeThis.org's thing that they receive a government grant... it's... oh wait, no, this is the EGRN one. It just didn't sit well with me. This is the one. March 13th is when I did this. She's a plant! No, I actually did something really cool for the government. But I was curious what your thoughts were on 2020 as someone with a biology medical background. Yeah, I mean, again, like, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you, like, I know exactly how vaccines are made and all the research. Like, I understand the fundamentals, but as somebody who you know, has the biology degree, the science is very important to me, and I can understand. Like, when I read people's research papers, I understand kind of what's going on, and I know what to go look for if I have any questions. But yeah, no, I'm not a glowy. Not to be rude, but when were we ever on topic? True. No, she's definitely a woman. Oh, man. Tested vax are both effective and helpful, but COVID vax wasn't. Yes, exactly. There are plenty of amazing, wonderful vaccines that are super important to get. But in terms of like all the ones that we have in the COVID vaccine, you know, some of them might be up for debate. She knows what is a woman because she's a biologist. Yes. But yeah, so going back to this, and you're probably wondering, how the fuck am I going to tie this into censorship and what we were just talking about? So the first thing that I ever put out was this thing from TakeThis.org, because they had the line on there that they were funded by the government, essentially. What they failed to mention is that they were in partnership, and they themselves were not directly funded, but they use it as a way to kind of bolster themselves to look better. This is just what losers do. So TakeThis works with Middlebury College, but also Logically AI. Now, what is Logically AI? They extract insights from across platforms and domains to identify potentially harmful content that can impact election processes, people and polling locations. Logically, intelligence focus on U.S. elections. But where's the bit in here? So if we come down here, Logically AI started in Britain, moved to India to be their primary fact checker, according to the Wikipedia, then spread to the USA. In 2019, they received an MIT grant and had 2 rounds of seed funding. Their whole thing seems to be on misinformation. Now, what's super interesting about this is Logically AI is actually partnered with Facebook during the time that all of this happened. So logically, AI was most likely behind the flagging of information on Facebook in relationships to COVID. Logically, AI also had a hand in the 2020 election misinformation that we don't actually know specifically what they were doing. If we come over here and go to their website, identify, assess, and act on harmful content, foreign enemies and extremists are increasingly leveraging digital platforms to help undermine democracy and influence voters. In 2020 and 2022, logically worked with both state and federal agencies to safeguard U.S. elections. Keep in mind, they are a British-born company that is India's largest fact checker, and they work with Facebook. How many people were censored on Facebook? How many? Sorry, I had to replug in my mouse to make it work. So this is baffling. So the only reason why I found them is because of Gamergate. Because Alyssa Mercante wrote for Kotaku, and because that article was referenced by Dr. Cowart of TakeThis.org, I was able to find out about Logically AI because of their fucking DHS grant. And now suddenly we have a group tied to Facebook during the pandemic that claims to fight misinformation. What? All I care about is getting some dick, tits, and ass in my video games on occasions. Why am I looking at this? Like, bro, I sound insane. I know it sounds insane. I can't even begin to describe to you the web of all of this. The things that I have read, the research papers from these people, I don't know what to do. So making this all digestible information for the average person to get them to care is very difficult. It's all connected. But the ideology is just the part that glues together the useful idiots, because they don't question these things, right? It's the people at the top, though, the people who are putting together the framework, the Pete Parsons of the world, the Larry Finkles of the world. Those are the people to be concerned about. I appreciate your exhaustive thoroughness. Yes, it is a lot deeper. Folks never ask how they got involved in all this rubbish that's happening, let alone why it's even tolerated. Savvy, the hero we needed and probably deserved. I am not a hero. I am just regurgitating information. But again, the fact that this exists is insane. Our work. I mean, you come over here. They put it out! They put it out! They tell you what they're doing! But then it's like not really all that they're doing. They're doing a lot more. So, you know, at face value, like, oh shit, they caught Chinese state media spread Spanish language disinformation. That's important to know. I think that that's wonderful information. But at the same time, you got to ask, okay, well, what the fuck are you doing? Where's your information on what you censored specifically on Facebook during 2020 and 2021 when you established your partnership with them and became their #1 fact checker? How does your AI system work? What are you doing? Because their goal, they want to leverage AI and humans to be able to create the most comprehensive fact-checking system in the world, right? So they're India's #1 fact checker, which who the hell knows what's going on there? They're Britain's fact checker, and now they have a specific hand in American politics. That's a lot of fucking power. That's an insane amount of power. And for them to be working with Dr. Cowart from a mental health organization on supposedly extremism and terrorist recruitment in video games. How do you go? This is insane. This is insane. It's so wild. You did a lot of work with the Schizo board to aggregate the information. This is what investigative journalism was back in the days before they all turned into bloggers. It's true, and I don't even call myself a journalist. I'm just a data dumper. That's it. They can do that. They can do this because they know the normal everyday man won't bother looking into it. And it's true. The everyday person is not going to look into this. They're too busy with their own life, just trying to make ends meet, watch the movie that they want, and then go to bed, rinse, repeat. And it's sad. But then there's people like me, basement-dwelling idiots, who have nothing better to do, who enjoy reading lots of words and making logical webs on the wall. then there's people like me who exist who just like to read and data dump, and if people find it useful, very awesome. Data dumper peaches, yes, except I don't have a juicy butt because I sit on mine all day. Yes. So I will have another thread talking about Logically AI at some point and tying all of this back together. But it is just mind-boggling to me. And for anybody who was wondering, so their grant, just to briefly recap this, take this, Logically AI and Middlebury College received a grant for $669,000 for a 2-year DHS approved plan. So DHS will approve just about anything so long as you use the right buzzwords. This is actually what a lot of shitty sociologists do. Because they know that they can't get a job without grants. They have to somehow look useful. This is also actually directly tied to the ADL and some of the other stuff that she does. She's also part of the EGRN, which also received Canadian funds of $317,000. It was given to the EGRN and RUSI, Royal United Service Institute, which is the largest think tank located in the UK. So, yes. And of course, all of this ties to the ADL or the Defamation League. Yes, exactly. As long as the spider doesn't appear, we're good. The new AI winter can't come soon enough. I agree. Collapsing their narrative forces them to spend time researching, which makes them mad. Yes. Yeah, so, so for everybody who didn't know about this, here you go. And I know that I sound insane and a little bit schizo. I'm gonna actually play my video for you guys while I go to the bathroom and get some more water because I'm gonna run out of this really soon. I guess this is gonna be we're at the 2-hour mark. Holy shit, I've said so much. But I could keep going. But I'm gonna let the recap play for anybody who hasn't seen it. How do I make this a little bit bigger? I don't want to make it full screen because I don't have the setup for that. Well, maybe I do. Okay, I sort of do.
And visual aid time.
I'm gonna hope that. Okay, where's my mouse?
All information can be found on my X page.
Okay. So I'm going to let this play while I actually go to the bathroom and get some money. Water. I don't know why I said money. I think I heard a word on here, and then it just made me think of that. Anyway. All right. I'll be right back. Can I just make it bigger?
I know my threads are...
Hang on. I'm trying to give you guys the maximum viewing pleasure experience. There we go. All right, I will be right back. I will let this play.
dry, so it's video and visual aid time. All information can be found on my X page through a series of 3 threads at the time of making this. All sources are linked, and it is based off of publicly available information. This all started because a Sweet Baby Inc. employee attempted a harassment campaign against a Brazilian man who goes by Cabrutus, who made a curation list on Steam with publicly available information documenting the games that SBI has worked on. Alyssa wrote an article for Kotaku defending SBI and omitting information about how it started, claiming it was a harassment campaign against SBI. Dr. Cowart wrote a blog post through TakeThis.org linking the Kotaku article. On the TakeThis.org website, they occasionally state they are funded by DHS. TakeThis.org has a partnership with Middlebury College and Logically AI, a data scraping company who wants to redefine the fact-checking business. They are a British-born company who use AI to monitor election misinformation and had a hand in the 2020 USA election. As of 2 years ago, they are partnered with Facebook as a fact-checker. They are also India's #1 fact-checker according to Wiki. These 3 entities received $669,000 from a DHS grant for a 2-year research project to monitor extremism and terrorist recruitment through gaming communities, but TakeThis.org is not directly funded through DHS itself. Dr. Cowart is also part of the Extremism and Gaming Research Network, or EGRN for short. They, together with the Royal United Services Institute, received $317,000 Canadian from the Minister of Public Safety of Canada. Several of the EGRN individuals currently work for Russie and have since 2021. Through EGRN and its many members, there are current connections to policy advisory around the world and extremist research through the lens of gender studies. The co-founder says he's got current ties to the UN. Another member has spoken to the Affairs Select Committee and Intelligence and Security Committee of Parliament. Another has spoken to the White House, and several of them to DHS and more. And the EGRN's first look into extremism and political movements in gaming communities was through Brazil. Ties to their government exist and may be ongoing. EGRN has individuals who currently work and who are employed with GIFCT, which is the Global Internet Forum to Counter Terrorism, which was started by Facebook, YouTube, Microsoft, and Twitter back in 2017. There are individuals tied to ISD, which is the Institute of Strategic Dialogue in Britain, where they state there is urgent need to build community trust and political consensus around extremism. Pre-existing ties exist through the EGRN to the World Bank, Facebook, various counterterrorism organizations, UNICEF India, and various other organizations with political ties. The ADL has a Belfer Fellow Funding Program, which is a program that advances the ADL's work by supporting groundbreaking research into online hate and harassment and implementing these projects to fight for just, equitable online spaces. In 2021, one of the EGRN members was a receiving member of the fund. The ADL itself, on the website, states that they will work with them to advance their research into online extremism. The ADL has come out recently as well, using the exact same language as these groups, taking interest in extremism through video games. My research has only begun, and every paper I read, I find a new connection to draw to. This is only taking into account a few members of the EGRN.
Okay, so that was that. Whew. How do I make the sweet bathroom money? Oh boy. Wish wasn't banned on Twitter so I could reshare more of Savvy's work. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, so this is how kind of everything really got started between this and the original thread. So this is how a lot of you know me, or why you follow me, because I do stuff like this. Yes, I was making money. Let's see here. Push this, I guess, back here. I don't remember where I had it. Anyway, that's not important. So, this is kind of like the little web, and yes, I actually still have it behind me. You can sort of see it, barely, but that's what these are. So, yeah. The web has actually grown, but now that I've actually moved the dog cage in front of it, I don't have easy access to it, but I do have a big old document. Anyway, after getting up and moving now, I'm just like, oh, I've spoken so much. But there's still so much to say. So this is Logically AI. I will do another thread on them, especially given their involvement with politics. I hate touching on politics in a manner that perhaps might come off as if I'm trying to sway people in one direction or another to vote. That's never my intention. I don't believe that I would ever be able to convince somebody to vote one way or another. I think that that's very silly. I think most people are pretty dead set in their ways, and if they haven't made a decision by now, I'm not going to be the reason why they do. But I think it's really important that everybody be made aware that an AI company is attempting, whether you agree with it or not, to censor and have an impact on elections. And some people on one side might say, well, it's good to fight misinformation. Okay, well, what about when you get called misinformation? How are you going to feel about that? You think it's just going to be one side? You think that you're safe? No, this is a form of censorship, and it's coming for us all. So is there a precursor video to that one explaining the basics? I'd like to share it with normie friends. So this video was the first one I made. This is actually the basics. That's the scary part. I wish I had something that could go even lower than that, but this really was, especially the way that it starts off to kind of, so, you know, the starting point was Sweet Baby Inc., but Sweet Baby Inc. really didn't matter. Kotaku didn't really care too much about what she wrote. I didn't care about anything until Dr. Colwert and the Take This website was what it was. So this is how I basically provided the framework for why I looked into it. If you come to my my threads, everything is pretty, it's linked and looks into each person behind it, or at least some of the more prominent names. This was the EGRN before I broke into each individual, and then everything has links. So if you want more information, you can get it. I just try to condense information and pick out the bits that I think are important. I try also to be fair in my presentation. So if I found something on the website, let's say hypothetically the EGRN were to specifically state, we do not work to influence policy, for example, I would reference that because they would state that, and I think that that would be important. However, if they also had actions that showed that they influence policy, I would then reference that as well to show the direct contradiction. I try to be fair in the way that I assess things. That was just a hypothetical because they clearly do not do that, and they actually only show that they do influence policy because they have direct ties to governments around the world. So, yes. Off topic, did Savvy play Vampire the Masquerade? I did not. Wait a minute, we have a British company making sure our elections aren't messed with. How doesn't that go against our Constitution? I don't know. I heard you talked about the My House Doom mod on side scrollers. You know it's inspired by the book House of Leaves. Great book. Absolute must read. Psychological paranormal horror. That's up my alley. I actually didn't know that. Where's the piece of paper? Oh, my journal's not over here. That's right. I moved it. Let me write that down on my phone real quick. Hang on. Where's my notes? Search. Notes. House of Leaves. It's probably like a really popular book, and I'm just too stupid to know that. I'm also one of the most poorly read people out there. I spent all my time reading manga and Daojin and like that kind of stuff. House of Leaves. I'll have to give that a read. Very cool, thank you. Love stuff like that. It was so good. Fundamentals, words, citizenship, names and claims, cornerstones of businesses and law, and modern civilization in the legal sphere. Yes. If you're looking for more fancy words like that, I'll draw connections between things, but I try to break things down as good as possible. Fear not, the British company will probably be one of the things to spontaneously combust soon. Oh God. You're the opposite. You never have enough bookshelves. See, I think that's the way to live. I spent a lot of my time telling my own stories, which I think, in a sense, has maybe held me back and made me very nervous about sharing then those stories. Writing fan fiction is obviously very different from, creating an entire world and putting a book together for other people to enjoy. I obviously have, thousands of pages of things that make sense to me, but making them make sense to other people. It's a very fun challenge when it comes to all of that, but it's also why I really don't have much available for anybody to read because I just hard on myself. But then shit like this, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, put that out. But yeah, so I have the deep dive onto Take This. I have the EGRN stuff, and then I have the Blackstone stuff, and then of course everybody's favorite localization rant where I rip into the Capcom localization team because that was egregious to me. So let's see here. I can close out of this stuff. Bringing it back to Blackstone. While I was talking about Blackstone hiked rent things, this was actually something really important that I wanted to bring up as well. We're going to have a civil war over here if the things keep going the way that they are. Yeah, exactly. And it's all honestly by design. The politicians absolutely know what they're doing. It is unfortunate. Obviously, I've seen the way that they're framing it. I'm really not excited to make a comment on this because I'm trying to be as careful as possible. I see the way that it's being framed. And obviously, anybody who is innocent, who is being targeted, very not okay. But to speak on it objectively, you get to that point by playing identity politics. You get to that point by reinforcing groups to be based off of skin color. Instead of saying, you know, hey, not everybody of a certain group sucks. Instead of trying to say, hey, we're all British citizens, they want to culturally divide people, and that's by design. Because the more that the common folk fight with each other means that the common folk will be distracted, so that way the people in power can keep doing nasty, terrible things. No way in shape or form am I condoning anybody going around randomly hitting somebody who has nothing to do with any of the atrocious crimes that have been committed. I'm just saying, objectively speaking, we can understand how it got to this point. In terms of the way that the media is framing it, fuck the media. In terms of the way that politicians are framing things, fuck the politicians. There are no winners and losers in the common folk section of the world. It's all just losers. We all lose because of what people in power are doing, because of the rhetoric that they use, because of what they've reinforced over the years. Unfortunately, that's just where we're at. So, oh, she already been with Kirsha a few times, even Gingy Daily, scarring Ryan. I've been once on Daily. I did tell Jeremy when we first spoke. I said I need quite a few days advance if I'm gonna be on an early show, you professional people. And then since then he's like, well, how about you come on our Tuesday night show? That might be more your speed anyway, instead of the Daily. So that's why I actually don't go on Daily. He just had me join Tuesday, and he's like, hey, can we keep you? And then I'm just like, you want to keep me? Why? so that's the story of that. But yeah, so Ryan does not come onto the night show, which I guess good for him, because otherwise he would be permanently scarred. I'm sure that Kirsha and I terrified the crap out of him. That was fun times. But yeah. Identity politics is a very efficient way to get power. 1930s Germany is an extreme example of this. Yes, it is an extreme example, but human psychology. So if you look at humans, we have not evolved very much. It's taken hundreds of thousands of years to get to where we're at, right? And we only recently just became Homo sapien sapien. We're so full of ourselves, and our hubris is limitless, that we've decided to name our intelligence twice, which I don't think is actually earned. But we are still hunters and gatherers at our core. We are still tribalistic at our core. And so when people in power really start reinforcing tribalism based off of arbitrary things like skin color or accents based, to identify people culturally, where they're from in the world. When you reinforce that, you're just reinforcing the innate nature of tribalism. And so naturally, when there are problems, when things go wrong, you tried to put all of these tribes then that you created into one tiny space, and they're just going to end up fighting. That's just, we're stupid meatbags. That's just what we do. We only do things. At the end of the day, we only have one driving force, which is reproduction. We have to reproduce to keep the species alive, and then that's all we know. That is the only definitive thing we know. We live, we fuck, and then we die, and that's it. That is the cycle of all living things, right? It's just to reproduce, because if you don't reproduce, then you just die off. And that's obviously, you don't want to do that, because survival, self-interest, self-preservation, those are all innate things. That's why we have things like fight or flight, right? So we understand those components, but then when you have, again, individuals, observers, essentially. So politicians are kind of like observers, if we're trying to compare this into the science world. They'll make us, they're just watching what's happening. Some of them are more influential in the experiments, where they're actually introducing variables and introducing language that affects the variables and things like that. And so that's just where we're at. It's just sad. Like I said, everybody loses at this point. Literally everybody. It doesn't matter what side you're on, what you look like, what your politics are. Everybody fucking loses, because we're just stupid creatures. Remember when everyone thought us prepared folks were nuts? I actually really hate being right about certain things because I'm never right about fun things. I would have rather been correct about what I wanted when I was 16. I genuinely thought the world was moving away from labels, stereotypes, and the reliance on skin color to create social groups. It's what it looked like to me. And now it's worse than ever. In 2016, I couldn't imagine a group based off of skin color in gaming. I couldn't fathom it because my own group where I lived, you know, we were such a I hate using the fucking word now, but we were a diverse group. You know, we had people from all over. We had you know, natural born citizens of various skin colors. We had immigrants of different skin colors. There were, you know, guys, girls, whatever. Like it didn't matter. It was just so like that was the world that I lived in. It was very like nobody cared. Nobody gave a shit. Like whenever we would go over to one of our friends was of Asian immigration, and we loved going over there because we knew we would get delicious food that we've never had anywhere else. Yeah, he'd get teased about some of the fermented things like the kimchi, but at the end of the day, it was such a cool experience. And then, you know, he'd get made fun of a little bit, but it was never like anything bad. And then, you know, people would say, come over to my place. And they know that they're going to get a shit ton of food, a lot of really homey stuff, mac and cheese, comfort foods and things like that. Because my mom liked to cook, right? And so, you know, I'd get made fun of being an only child and being fed as much as I was. It didn't matter, you know, like, oh, you look at you with your American diet, lol, 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 you know, like... It didn't matter. And then, you know, and then we'd go over to the Irish family. We'd go over to, and then we'd go over to the kid whose parents were never around, and we're like, yeah, party time. Right? So like everybody had their place, and that was just natural diversity. There were the financially, there like I was kind of like the poor kid in the group, even though we weren't necessarily poor, but for the area we kind of were. And then, you know, we had somebody who was also part of a rich family, you know, like it was everything. It was literally everything. And so where we're at today is worse than where we were at in 2016. My memory does actually mostly revolve around food. It's true. I get really excited about the way that like, about the things that people eat. Watching the UK riots makes me think of the YouTube skit from the Whitest Kids You Know race war. Should check it out. Isn't that an old one? Blackstone is the 32nd largest with 1.061 trillion. Yes, and they are the largest alternative asset manager in the world too. Everyone's gotten more sensitive for the worse. Yeah, exactly. It's really weird to see actually. It's really weird. But to bring it back to Blackstone, by the way, thank you for the segue back to On Topic. Almost a crime. Report finds Blackstone hiked rent nearly double the market rate. This was posted on August 2nd this year by Danielle Dawson. San Diego, here's another. So this is, again, another really important article, and the reason why I specifically wanted to bring up this one is because it ties into the legislation that they spent millions of dollars to fight that would have actually directly impacted their ability to buy up rental properties and hike it an exorbitant amount. So just to kind of briefly go through this, as county leaders are looking to crack down on private equity firms buying up properties, a new report released on Thursday shedding light onto one corporate landlord that may have contributed to higher housing costs in San Diego. Keep in mind, San Diego is already very expensive. The analysis, which was released by tenant advocacy group Private Equity Stakeholder Project and the Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment, zooms in on Blackstone Inc., an investment firm who acquired nearly 6,000 local rental units in 2021. This was around the time that they fought the legislation, by the way. Millions of dollars to fight efforts to thwart this. Using real estate data, it found the corporation hiked rent prices of the units it owns in San Diego by an average of 38%, which, by the way, if you remember, falls in line with the 42% that we saw them hike up in Sweden. Or $600 since its acquisition of buildings, nearly double the 20% median rent increase for apartments in the country during the same period. For some Blackstone-owned buildings, including several located in historically low-income areas like San Ysidro and National City, these rent increases went upwards of 80% over a 3-year period. Again, this is low-income areas, but it went up over 80%. These buildings, which previously had an average rent of $1,500 per month, now have a median rent price of over $2,500. Given that there already is such a crisis on affordable housing and that there was such a large number of affordable units, it really is almost a crime. Keep in mind, almost a crime, but it's not, that they are now no longer affordable. Jordan Ash, housing director at the Private Equity Stakeholder Project and lead author on the study, told Fox 5. Fox 5, by the way, is just local reporting. It's not Fox News, the Fox whatever. But, you know, I think everybody can get behind this information. The fact that a Fox brand, a Fox-owned news station is putting this out, talking about something that affects literally everybody, is super important to me. As Ash explained, these units were what is often referred to as naturally occurring affordable housing, or a type of housing, often of lower quality, that reflects a reasonable price for low to middle income renters. So basically, they're calling it shithole housing for $2,500 now as the average, as opposed to $1,500. And this is per month, by the way, per month. They're kind of disappearing. There's not many of them, Ash said, of these below market priced units, noting that this is in part due to corporations acquiring them with the goal of renovating to attract higher income renters to turn a greater profit, which, by the way, again, if you remember, this is how Blackstone makes a lot of their money for investors, through a fund that they set up that the University of California gave them $4.5 billion for. So the University of California, a very progressive institute, is actively screwing over individuals who would otherwise benefit from cheap and affordable housing, so that way they can make a profit for the university, because guess how much money their top people make? Oh, you're gonna be surprised at that one, I bet. So yeah, you know, it's all connected. Which, by the way, this all still ties back to Blackstone investing into an e-reader manga platform. I hate the world right now. In a statement to Fox 5, Blackstone pointed to renovations and repairs done at nearly 70 buildings it owns in San Diego under ownership as an example of the improvements to living conditions for thousands of San Diego residents who live in our communities. Notice thousands. Thousands of people are desperate to live in a place, not because it's Blackstone owned though, but because they just need a fucking roof over their head. However, the speed at which the rents have been increased to foot the bill of these upgrades, as the report illustrates, have exacerbated the financial burden placed on tenants whose incomes have not been raised at the same rate. We're concerned that the rent increases are aimed at basically forcing people out so that Blackstone can increase the rent even more. Where are the poor people supposed to go? Oh, that's right, the streets. Guess who's got rampant homelessness? California. Most homelessness nowadays is not caused by drug addiction. It's not caused by poor life choices necessarily. It's circumstance. If you work the same job and your pay only goes up 12% over 10 years, well, that's actually really a bad choice on an individual to stay there. But it doesn't matter. They should still be able to afford the same housing that they had before. They should not suddenly, just because BlackRock came in, be unable to afford their home simply because BlackRock came in and said, you know what? I think this year we're going to raise your rent from $1,500 to $2,500. And it's everywhere. It's everywhere. People just want to work, and they want their entertainment, and then they want to rinse and repeat. But Blackstone be making poo-poo. Blackstone first came into the San Diego housing market in 2021 when it bought up 66 buildings with 5,800 units from the nonprofit Conrad Prebys Foundation. As the San Diego Union Tribune reported at the time, the acquisition costed roughly $1 billion. How much money do you think they're making now, by the way? How much money do you think they're making now? I bet that Billy came back tenfold, no problem. It's insane. California, where the prices are higher and the quality of where the prices are high and the quality of living is low. This shit is happening here in my part of Virginia as well. Yes, exactly. Virginia is terrible for it. I lived in Virginia. That's where I graduated high school. And where we lived was already astronomical, but somehow my parents made it work. They both had jobs. My father was very lucky to be doing what he was doing and how many opportunities he's been afforded. But if not for that, no fucking way we could have afforded that. And that was way back in the day. That was 2009. And knowing that it's only gone up since then, knowing what our rent was and knowing that it's only gone up since then is terrifying. Excuse me. I'm very thirsty. So anyway, this just further reinforces that, you know, yes, I wrote about Sweden, but this is the most recent thing to come out and continues to highlight that Blackstone is just evil. They, despite, again, having the DEI and ESG, they directly oppose affordable living that would otherwise benefit the people that they're supposed to be championing through DEI. If you don't act upon what you preach, you are an evil individual. There's just no way about it. At least if you're going to champion DEI, champion it for real. And I genuinely don't believe that fighting legislation to allow for affordable housing and to prevent rent rate hikes in this manner, I don't believe that relates to DEI in the slightest. We must force behavioral change. And for those who don't know, Larry Fink said that. He said that unapologetically on a stage where he knew he was recorded to other people. He knew what he was saying. He is also soon to have lawsuits. I think one or two states have filed lawsuits against BlackRock for misrepresenting the success of ESG and DEI, which means Larry Fink owns them. So he is coming under fire for that. And there are lawsuits, and there will be more lawsuits as people kind of realize that ESG and DEI practices have led to lack of productivity, product decline. Look at how many sales are down. Not everything will go up only. And so when you lower your hiring standards and you fire the people who know what they're doing in order to balance things that look appeasing to investors, you're going to find that you're not going to make as much money. If you change the product that people enjoyed, people are not going to keep coming back for the product. And there's not enough people who are going to come in and replace them. You actually said prevent. Oh, no. I was trying to be careful of the way that I said rent rate hikes. It just sounded funny to me. But who owns Larry Fink? Well, Larry Fink is actually one of the most powerful people in the world. I don't think anybody owns Larry Fink. I think he's one of the people at the very top. And I think people like the other guy who I wrote about, Schwartzman, is also one of the people at the top. I think that they sit on the Council of WEF, the World Economic Forum, and I think that they have debates and discussions on how best to control the world. So, yes. Schwab, one of the WEF, Schwab of the World Economic Forum owns Fink. It's possible. But I obviously they would never see each other as equals, so at some point they will eat each other. That's just the nature of man, especially ones driven by greed. But I don't know where this goes. Companies aren't going to go along with things like that for very long because companies want to make money. And since we're talking about the WEF, here's Stephen A. Schwartzman, despite being a Republican, despite being on Trump's cabinet, despite a couple of things that maybe some people might say. One political side might try to say, oh, no, he's fine, everything's fine. No. This is a Republican, a lifelong Republican who has his own page on the WEF. This is from the WEF page. You can go and click on him and his information through the WEF. That's why, again, I know I've already said this twice so far. This is not a political battle for me. I don't give a shit about anybody's politics. These people are evil. They are for censorship, and they are actively contributing to the state of the world that is not... I don't know how else to make this more clearly. The people screeching about DEI and ESG and social injustice, they hide behind these words. They hide behind them and actively go against them through their actions. He says DEI is important. Okay, if you give a shit about DEI, why are you contributing millions of dollars to oppose legislation to allow for affordable housing in California. It just doesn't line up. It's disheartening to see how a dubious ideology and enough money can go, and enough money to go buy it can so easily change the world for the worst. Yeah, it's very sad. Next up to bat, Bridge. Oh God, the stream will end up being 6 hours if we start talking about Bridge and everybody connected to that. That's a guy with no allegiances. He's feigned loyalty to whoever was needed until he wound up at the WEF. Exactly. It is anti-human. It is very anti-human. I believe censorship is anti-human. I believe excessive greed. Like, I am all for people getting their bag, making money. All right. But if you're doing it at the expense of other people in such a manner that you're jacking up rent 40% in places, especially in low income places, fuck you. All right. Fuck you. There are plenty of ways to make money without doing that. If only they believed in Joe Hendry. I agree. Don't burn yourself out. It's a little hard. I really slowed down on making... I have so many documents with tons of information, like half threads basically, that are almost ready to be shared, but I just stop because I get so disheartened from reading into a lot of it and looking into it. And I'm like, I'm just a basement dwelling nerd that nobody really wants to take seriously. I like what I like. I don't care. It doesn't make me wrong about any of the things that I'm talking about because it's all publicly available information. But at the end of the day, that would be used against me to discredit me or whatever, because nobody wants to just talk about the actual problem at the top. Obviously, nobody at the top wants to give up their power. So, it's just blah. Larry Fink just needs to go retire, but he won't because he wants power. Don't be blackpilled. That's how they win. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, too. Like, you kind of, once you get started, you just kind of have to keep going, even if it makes you tired. But like I said, I am actively looking at ways to try to get more involved and leave the basement and, we'll go talk to some politicians. Like I said, to me, I don't give a shit who's ever willing to hear me. That's awesome. I don't care if AOC, all right, like people have heard me rag on her. If AOC was willing to talk to me, I would sit down. I'd spend so much time with her. I would stay the fuck on topic because that's the only thing that matters. I genuinely believe that these people are bad for the world. I believe that they should be reined in, and I don't believe American companies should have so much global influence like this, to the point of causing the housing markets of other countries to crash on top of our own. And it all relates to censorship. I believe all censorship is bad. That's just it. So if AOC is willing to hear me, if somebody like Matt Gaetz was willing to hear me, I don't care. I don't care who it is at this point. Just if somebody's willing to sit down and explain to me why we're allowing this. That's all that matters. On a happy note, I think if Trump brings him into leading the U.S. Treasury, hopefully it'll expose Fink and bring more attention to his shenanigans. I'm really worried because, Trump previously had Schwartzman on his 2016 board. Schwartzman also has access. He's actually assisted in trade deals. He's done quite a bit, to be quite honest, and he's very involved in the Chinese government as well. I don't know. I'm just kind of concerned. I want to know what kind of things he's whispering. You really value sharing this stuff, much like Razor and Kirsha. Keep it up, we'll bless you. Yeah, no, Kirsha's done so much good work, and same with Razor. But everybody's just trying to share information. I wouldn't say don't do that, but make enough noise, and someone is bound to notice. I hope so. As long as the other thing too, though, my husband's joked. He's actually been quite serious about it. When I was calling DHS just to verify some things. Or when I started calling some of the politicians to try to talk to them, he said, please be safe. He's like, you piss off the wrong person. And even though you don't leave the house, maybe there'll be a gas leak one day. And we don't notice. And I'm like, come on. I'm no one. I'm fucking no one. And then he's like, hey, that's why. That's why. So I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. I've heard you educate the other nerds. Is very impressed by what you know. It shows a true desire to find the truth. Yeah, and that just comes from the scientific background. to me, you know, science is just about finding truth, even if it disagrees with what your initial hypothesis was. I got very lucky to have some of the teachers that I did who did focus on that. So, however, your understanding is well researched. Well, bless you. Yeah, I try. Wise giant engineer man. Yes. You're no one until someone cares enough to make you permanently that way. Be safe. Yeah, exactly. Like, I genuinely don't think anything's going to happen to me. Because, again, it's all public information. I'm not, like, finding some... Like, I'm not talking to Larry Fink himself. I'm not doing the O'Keefe route of going undercover or anything like that. It's all public information. And I think that's also one of the reasons why I don't get any real pushback, is because all I'm doing is putting together what's already out there. So I think that that's something that kind of helps the case too. Like, I'm not claiming any sources. I'm not claiming anything. Now, I might reference a news article that uses sources, but then what I do after that is try to find enough public information that shows either behavioral patterns or something that helps validate what that source said. But I'm not trying to represent a source. I've had some people come to me over stuff and try to share things with me anonymously, which I'm not a journalist. I'm not trying to be a voice or an outlet in that sense. I'm just trying to consolidate verifiable information and then show people where that comes from, because I want others, this is part of the science background, to be able to reproduce my work. I think that that's really important to me personally. I think that there's other people who are more than happy to be a voice for the whistleblowers and anonymous people. But in terms of like the things that I actually write and spend a lot of time on, I want it to be reproducible. So it might all be public information, but you're telling your audience the bigger picture from the public. Yeah, exactly. You ever learn the Socratic method? Yes. I've been working on it myself, and I've noticed you exercise it from time to time. Yeah, for like, I don't know. I think despite being as poorly read as I am, and I don't really know how to phrase what I want to. They're just... Logical transparency is important to me. I think that's probably just the best way to put it. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. Replication is the most important step when proving a system or theory. Exactly. Like, you know, it's one thing for me to just say Blackstone is bad for the world. How do I prove it? Well, I can prove it through a series of other reports that show bad behavior that is essentially bad for the world. I try my best. I failed in this. I also try to present things unbiasedly, but I failed in this, but it's clear where my passion lies. So whenever I do come out and like actually provide more of an opinion in my writing, it's because I've seen enough. I can't be swayed in any other way, and I genuinely believe with every fiber of my being that this is bad for the world. So yeah, exactly. It is mind-blowing that all of this stuff is out there and nothing happens from it. But yeah, I don't know. We don't have to dwell too much longer on that. That's really all the tabs that I had. So let's see here. We went almost 3 hours. So I'm now calling the information dumping good. We had tons of off-topic rambles in between there. And that was impressive. I can't believe so many people have come out to listen to this live. That's amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I think Mondays at 1:30 or 2 are really good for the HR basement. I think it's a great way to start the week off. Just, you know, slam down all the dread, man. Get it out of the way. You fit the definition of journalist. The journalist is a person who gathers information in the form of text, audio, or pictures, processes it into a newsworthy form, and disseminates it to the public. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just never really considered myself much of one. I just like to data dump. It doesn't say it in the headline, so no one noticed. Should I shave my head? If you want to. I'm a big fan of hair, though. Of course, it was a fun stream. Bless. You came late? Well, that's okay. How close are you to monetization? Well, according to my other thing as of last night, we are this close to monetization for getting, I guess, super chats and being able to make emotes for you guys, which I actually already have tons of emotes because I am a partnered streamer on Twitch, but I do not use my Twitch anymore. Please do not go over to my Twitch. There's nothing there. And the emotes are cute, and I will bring them all over. So, but I think I'll have to make some more. And I might redo a few of them, so you guys will have emotes. There'll be the super chat capabilities. And I think that's it. And then in order to get ad revenue on videos, you have to have 4,000 watch hours. So we're like super close. Would you rather we call you a dumper than a data dumper? I like that. I like data dumping. I think that's good. Didn't know about you until you showed up on Geeks and Gamers, and I'm so glad that you became a regular. Love Geeks and Gamers, but sometimes they stick to the surface level of topics, so appreciate it when you deep dive. Well, yeah, oh, that's very sweet. No, that's very sweet. I can't believe that those guys actually like having me around. It's been so wonderful. They're all so fun and nice, and I really am like the weirdest fucker. But they like me, and I enjoy spending time with them. They're all really wonderful people. So I'm very, very appreciative to have been able to meet them all through this. Not too many people can be chill and talk about serious stuff at the same time. I feel like you're able to get that balance. ADD is a hell of a brain thing. But yeah, no, it's funny because we bounce from very serious and then go really lighthearted, and then sometimes we get, you know, really deep into the fifis, and then sometimes we're just talking about tits and ass. God, why did I leave Twitch? So I have had some personal issues. There were 2 investigations actually involving me with 2 different staff members. And then on top of that, I've had just a lot of really bad experiences with some other stuff. And then I just find everybody to be over there like really fake. I don't keep up with really any streamer friends. I had viewers who have become very, very, very close to me, lifelong besties at this point. But it was all just very fake and superficial and very stressful. And I didn't like it. I also don't want anybody who wants to support me to give Twitch money. I think that they're very shitty. I think that they have a shitty work environment. And there's a lot of things behind the scenes that I saw that I can't really comment on. I mean, it's not like anything, like not like crimes or anything. But you know, it's just like really shit. So YouTube is at least a little bit better in terms of the way that you can kind of monetize yourself, and then you can kind of produce the content that you more so want to. There is still obviously favoritism and all of that, but with Twitch, it's really, really bad. Whereas with YouTube, it's just a little bad. So your banter with Beardo is the best. Dude, it's so fun. He just like, I think... I don't know if he's actually older than me or not. I'm pretty sure he is. But, like, he just feels like I'm an only child. But, like, if I had a little brother, like, that would be my little brother. You found me from Side Scrollers. I'm so sorry. Because the topics I talk about on there, too, can be pretty wacky. Oh, man. You enjoyed Craig and Blab's, the boob talk with them? Yeah. Yeah. Toxic work environment via cons. Oh my God, conventions. You learn so much about people at them. Sounds like you and Gothics could do a stream about Twitch. Oh my God. Any girl on the outside, like me, like Gothics, there's a couple of others. We've all had pretty much the same experience without even knowing each other. It's bad. Oh, he is? He's little brother. He's definitely little brother then. I'll be 33 this week. So, definitely little brother then. No wonder we get along then. I don't know if making fun of each other really gets it, but that just feels like the sibling rivalry thing. Beardo has little brother energy. All right, I'm gonna screen grab that, and I might show him. Don't worry, I'll anonymize your name. That's funny. But no, it's like literally the best. We really do have kind of that back and forth when he's streaming with Drunk 3PO. Drunk is clearly the bigger bro, dude, and he comes off like a big bro too. Like everything he does and says, even the way like he'll just ignore what everyone's saying and then just talk about whatever he wants to. I don't know if he's a sibling, but he does have that like that's just. It reminds me of the way my dad treats his brother. Got any secrets about Pokimane? Not really. I mean, everybody knows. Everybody already knows how she is. She's I mean, she was quiet when I saw her in person, but she could have also just been tired. Like there's not really like streamer dirt that I really care enough to talk about. I don't think anything that I know is really super relevant. It's more so just staff actually. Oh man, Beardo's little bro with the legs. Have I been on Friday Night Tights yet? I have not, but apparently my feet, references to my feet have made it. So, does anyone know what happened to the stocks this morning? Yeah, so basically Japan, their stock crash is linked mostly to the way that the banks are over leveraged, if I'm understanding, and then they had interest rate hikes in order to combat potential inflation from getting worse. What we're seeing in the States, so business around the world generally operates kind of under the same wavelengths. So we see, crypto responding to that. We see the American companies responding. We had big dips and then people bought the dips and now they're all going back up and things like that. But I think that this trend will continue. So we can look at kind of what happened to the States when the rate hikes continued to happen. During that period, it was very rough. Things got very, very expensive. They're still expensive. They're still bad. We still have bad rates, interest rates. But I think that Japan's now going to go through what kind of we did. You were born in 91? Shit, I'm old. Yeah, man, I survived. I outlived Game Informer. Their inception was August 1991. So I will have outlived Game Informer. I pegged you for a New Yorker the moment you showed up on G&G. I'm from Long Island, so nice to see some New York representation. I started this stream off dispelling these rumors. So when I'm really passionate and I get loud, I like to do funny voices and things. So even though I was born in Brooklyn, I spent most of my youth in Texas. I had a very strong Southern accent, and then people in West Virginia made fun of my Southern accent. So then I overcorrected, and now I just talk very basically. But I really like doing dumb voices and stuff like that. So yeah. Yeah. I think Savvy would demonetize and take down FNC if she were a guest there. I would be on my best behavior. You got to do streams with Kirsha. Imagine the mental and emotional damage the two of you would cause. We couldn't stream on a normal platform together. You want to watch me corrupt Shadiversity? Oh God, I know. I can't escape anything. The dream is Savvy, Kirsha, and Lucy. Oh gosh. Y'all are crazy. You cannot I can't escape anything, man. And that's fine. I'm not trying to escape anything. I'm just me. Maybe I should just start doing all my streams in a British accent and then really throw people off. And then just one day stop. Just never address it. Like, what the fuck? Oh man. One of your best friends is from Brooklyn, so I hear it straight away. You could talk Pokemon or Power World. If I start talking about either of those things, I'll never shut up. This is now, by the way, the super chill part of the stream where I wind down and I just answer questions. And kind of bitch and moan. How is my British accent? I don't know. Right now it's actually very bad. It's very bad. I don't think that I do it very well. It takes a little bit for me to get into it and then like find my rhythm and my cadence. I try to do a little bit more of a posh one. Like I'm from Knightsbridge. Very nice area. Very nice, very fancy. Hoity-toity. That kind of thing. I don't know if I actually do it super well or not, but how old is Bear? Bear is 13 or 14. He is a rescue. And you keep procrastinating from the thing that I need to do. Yes, I need to make a phone call, which needs to be done in the next 30 minutes, but I'm not going to do it. Now, Uzi's like a little bit, see, no, I can't do it. Uzi, yeah, you know, it's like harder, you know, like, I can't do Uzi. I can't do it. An FNT with Gundam and Savvy would be chaotic. Gary, his head would explode. All right? I watch Gundam. I enjoy Gundam. I think the two of us would break it. Can I do an Afrikaner accent? You mean like is that like what the South African accent is called? I cannot. I think that is a beautiful accent. What about German? My husband handles the German accent. I no longer do that. He revoked my German accent card. Oh man, not sure how often you've been asked this, but what got you into art and what artists are your inspirations? So, I have been holding a crayon ever since I could hold anything. When I was a little girl, I absolutely was enamored with the concept of creating. But my great grandmother, who I barely knew up in Canada, she started very late in life, but she had always wanted to be a painter. And so she was a huge inspiration to me, even though I don't fully remember our conversations. I used to stare at some of the things that my grandmother had on the walls at the time, and as she was dying, she would always tell me, embrace. She's speaking to a child, so I'm trying to paraphrase what she said. But, it was like basically embrace creativity. Like, don't make the mistake that I did. Because she worked most of her life, and she never really got to partake in the things that she wanted. And I guess that always stuck with me. And I think watching her take her last breaths, it probably really, really messed me up because I was way too young to rationalize death properly. So that kind of became ingrained in me. And so even though my parents weren't necessarily not they didn't discourage me from drawing, but as I got older, like into 12, 13, and 14, they realized it wasn't just a phase, that it was something that was just a part of me. And all of my inspiration came from actually anime and manga. I am not classically trained, nor did I do any classical studies or anything like that. So that's why I always say I'm very poorly read. I'm very poorly educated when it comes to a lot of that. I can recognize now paintings and some painters, but in terms of, could I tell you right off the bat what Da Vinci and some of the other great artists and philosophers and all of them did? No, I can't give you like a whole historical breakdown of that. So yeah. Can I do an ASL accent? What's ASL? Dutch Southern Africans. But yeah. Gundam is funny because he's too feminine to survive Savvy. Oh, God. Usually people go Cockney to do British. It's quite boring. Yeah, and I do have a Cockney version, but I prefer the posh one, too. Savvy's inspiration for art is insert any yaoi artist here. Yeah, exactly. I need to take up art. I don't have any real hobbies besides video and reading. Yeah, and you know what, too? Like, anybody, the cool thing about art is anybody can learn how to create. Anybody can learn how to draw. You just go stare at a flower and eventually you'll be able to draw it once you study the basic shapes and understand the fundamentals like that. But the thing that really separates everybody is what they do with their mind after that. So obviously you can draw a flower and you can extreme realism. You'll find this actually in, I just said that I was very poorly classically trained, but a lot of the artists who ended up doing, those hyper realistic things, who then moved on from realism to abstract or impressionism or other things. Several of them stated that, okay, to reproduce the world is boring. To create a world inspired by reality is more interesting, because then it felt more like their voice came through. So I think that was also probably one of the appeals to anime to me, instead of just doing realism, because there was a more emphasis on creating something that came from my imagination instead of just drawing what I saw. And I think that reflects in a lot of my art today, where it's like, yes, I take the concept of, say, a city, but then I do these wacky dumb colors and stuff like that. So yeah. American Sign Language. I was like, wait, well, I know American Sign Language, but I thought in terms of an accent. Fun fact, I did take American Sign Language, though, for half a semester in a public school when I was younger. Yes. I've been writing since I was 4. Getting an English degree didn't do shit to help. Yeah, so I had an English professor in college who wanted me to switch over. I love writing, but I didn't think that it would really do anything for me, because I wanted my degree to be something that would actually teach me something new. And so super into science and stuff like that anyway, so it was great switching into that. But I love writing too. But I think that the thing that teaches you to be a better writer is just reading more. You got into the 3D side of things, then Kumir's DM'd me. If I did not say for work, never thought of it until I got a crap ton of DMs. Now I'm doing them. Hell yeah. See, and there's a lot of money in that too. Lots of it. I could give you the historical breakdowns and can't draw worth a damn. Wish I could. And all you got to do is just study the fundamentals. What do you think is the best way to get started into drawing? Easy. Break down shapes and draw squiggles every single day. I disagree with you, Savvy. Not everyone can do art. I'm an example of someone whose art will always be garbage and can never get better. That's not true at all. That is not true at all. Every single person is capable of drawing. You just have to dedicate even just 30 minutes a day to it, and you will actually grow. There will be a difference from when you started to a month later, so long as you're actually trying and not just making the same mistake, but trying to understand what the mistake was. We're about to get a little dangerous here. Let's see here. I'm going to do a thing that I shouldn't do. I gotta close out. I have 100 tabs on my monitor. I have 100 tabs on my monitor over here, on my art tablet, of things that I need to do. Oh my god, I have to pee again. 1 second. I'm gonna give you guys a little art tutorial. Yay! But let me go pee again, because I drink so much water when I talk, because I get so dry. I'm gonna bring this over, and we're gonna do a little doodle when I come back. 1 sec. It shouldn't take long. I piss like a race weight. I race like a piss horse. Oh boy! Alright. Alright. So, let me see here. I gotta pull this up now. Alright. Let's see if I can do this without exposing things. How did I do this before? Okay, there we go. I don't want my bottom bar to be shown. Aha! All right, so here is... That's fine. None of those titles are bad. All right, here is my canvas. That was I did. I even washed my hands. There is no spider. Only 100 tabs? Well, something like that. All right, let me let's see here. Let's go grab a picture of a flower because I'm a terrible flower artist. But the reason why this is important is because it's going to teach you how to get better at art. Here we go. All right, so we've got our flower, right? And you're probably thinking, actually, let's have the taller petals up top, maybe. Did I just go full stupid? I don't know. Anyway, let's do it like this, and then let me, none of this stuff matters, just that way you don't see any of this. Can you see this? Okay, perfect. All right. So, you're probably sitting there thinking, Savvy, this is a fucking flower. How is this going to teach me how to draw the booba? Well, because it comes down to how do we see the flower? Now, you're probably thinking, okay, so I need to draw a bunch of petals, blah, 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 and then it's got the circle and all of this stuff, right? This is where people go wrong when they're first learning. This is actually something that held me back for years. Maybe this won't work for you, maybe it will, but this is just how I personally do things, right? So you don't want it. This is bad. Do not just start drawing the petals, right? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to break it down. I'm going to approach this how I wish I would have when I was younger. It looks like a nip. God damn it. Everywhere you look, you see her. All right. So what do we have here? I'm drawing on the wrong layer. There we go. We have a circle. Most things in life are circles, squares, or cylinders, right? And then what do we have for the petals? We have a cylinder. We have a sort of cylinder. We have a cylinder. So now it just comes down to repetition of drawing the cylinders. And you're probably thinking, Savvy, this looks like ass. That's not what they look like. Well, yeah, actually it is. Because they're just cylinders with a point. Right? And then all these little things in here, right? They technically just create a circle. But in order to get the look of the grain, you just make a bunch of tappies, right? It's all it is. You're tapping in a circular pattern. So, you know, you make your... I naturally wanted to start following the petal shape. So that's all you do. If you want to make a good petal, you start with a basic shape. And then within the shape, you start doing extra things. And you stare at the things that you want to create. If you can draw a flower, you can draw a juicy starfish. Exactly. Bloom. Looking like a pee-pee now. Oh boy. But yeah, so, you know, when we look at now humans, when we look at, let's just pull up a whammon. Let's just grab a whammon. We will grab whammon, copy image. Let's get rid of all this stuff now. So we have beautiful whammon, right? Look at her, gorgeous. You're probably thinking, all right. Oh, hello, Alec Baldwin's finger, what's up? I didn't realize you were the one who said it looks like a pee-pee now. It looks nothing like a Japanese person. Oh, God. All right, so now you're probably looking at this, and you're probably thinking, how the fuck does this translate? There's no circles here. That's where you're wrong, dear viewer. That's where you're wrong. Everything is a circle. The reason why everybody starts off with just cylinders and circles and squares and shit like that is because it's a circle, right? Now, obviously, this is an oblong circle, but a circle nonetheless. So keep drawing circles every day. Another thing that is really useful, line control. Do this every day for 5 minutes to get better with your lines. Learn pen pressure control. You can do this, you can do it traditionally or digitally, right? And so when you do things like this, you learn how to control your line weights. You make better lines. Start drawing longer lines. Have more confidence in your arm. The other big thing is to not just move your wrist, but move your arm. So the reason for that is to have more control, because if I just move my wrist, I was trying to untrain myself there for a second to just move the wrist. You see how I lose control, but when I'm moving my whole arm, there's a lot more going on, right? So Faces also have standard proportions and things like that. Everybody sees it. You can kind of study them. But at the end of the day, it's all just circles and lines and more circles. And then what you do after you draw these initial guides, that's where the magic happens. So now we have our silly guide, right? Now you want to start shaping, you want to start sculpting. Come at it like a sculptor, right? You got to move things around. You got to figure out what's appealing to you. Obviously, I'm trained, so I know how to kind of move my hand the way that I want to create the shapes that I do. But at the end of the day, it's the guidelines and the proportions that are super important to pay attention to, so you can kind of cut things out if you want to make references and things like that. And that's how easy it is. Bam, it's literally easy. This is nothing special. Anyone can do this. But what you do and the style that you develop after that, that's what will be special to you. Anybody can draw. Anybody. 100%. Same rule for you. Yeah, that's naughty. You want to know the proportions of the face? There's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of information on all of that. You'll hear it better from somebody else who's like dedicated. Like there are tons of art YouTubers who are dedicated to teaching all the fundamentals of art, the basics of all of that. It's so good. It's so good. And then eventually you get to the really spicy circles, right? You get to the delicious circles that you want to draw, which are down here. But at the end of the day, they're just circles, right? Butts are just circles. That's it. This could come off as tits, honestly. That's all they are. Tits, ass, dick, all the good shit. It's all circles. Once you master the circle, you will control the universe. It's all booba. Exactly. Exactly. I've been told using reflets and templates was a big no-no. It's a big lie. The reason why Clip Studio is awesome, because look, we can just drag and drop a 3D model into this. Bam! Suddenly I've got a reference right here. Holy shit, it's massive. Right? But then we can come up here, we can get rid of these old layers, and then we can tone down the opacity of this one. And then suddenly, I got myself an actual reference. And guess what? Some of the top-selling webtoon comic artists use this shit so that way they can streamline their fucking process, because not everybody can just know how to draw every single angle constantly, right? These kinds of resources are super important, and being able to do that in art is, it's really cool. Digital art does make it easier. Obviously, if you were doing it traditionally, you have to just stare intently until something looks right. But with digital, you obviously have a little bit more help and support and things like that. Exactly. Anybody can draw them. I no longer have a DeviantArt account. I have not posted on that since I was a child. Ratatouille, but for drawing, exactly. And again, I love encouraging people to create and draw, and if they see something like this stupid Hoyoverse boycott, very stupid. I didn't even feel the need to talk about it today because it's just so dumb. But like people like that who are like, oh, you don't have any people of color, even though you're stealing cultural references, blah blah. Like all these people complaining, right? But they don't know how to put that in the game. Go make your own thing. Go make your own thing. There's nothing more beautiful than actually creating something on your own. I have entire worlds, universes, cultures, characters that I've been drawing since I was a little girl. And it's so much fun to be able to create your own thing. And it's even cooler now because the internet allows you to share that thing with other people who maybe who want to see it. So yeah, you and Denki should do a drawing stream together. That could be very funny. You're going to have to bully me on Twitter. Everybody bullies me on Twitter. Everybody. I have to use that more. I mostly draw weapons, and I think that's really cool. Like, I'm not a really great weapons artist, so whenever I do that, I go and I try to find as many references as I can, or I'll block out shapes in 3D. That's another great resource to use. Photo bashing is some of the best stuff that you could ever do to try to kind of help yourself along. But yeah, make art, man. You would make for a charismatically nonchalant art teacher. I would be a terrible art teacher. Inspiration isn't representation. Exactly. No one wants to make their own thing. They want someone to make their ideas. Yes. Yes. It's true, and it's very sad. I like figuring out how people and things tick. And that's one of my favorite things, too. One of the reasons why I'm as open-minded as I am and I like as much as I do is because I think human psychology is just really fun. The reasons why people like things is very interesting to me. Even you know, the weirder stuff. I think all of that's very fun and interesting to look at. Oh, fuck, this thing's massive. Yeah. Gotta move it out of the way again. But yeah, so that's how you draw, right? Oh, wow, I'm really glad no one was naked there. Holy shit, that could have been really bad. This is why I'm a really bad YouTuber. And yes, all of my, I only have a one computer setup, so everything I do is right here, and it's probably gonna fuck me one day. My pencil drawing teacher in college always said, oh fuck, when she'd screw up a line while demonstrating. Hell yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Savvy is save mode off, confirmed. Oh, hell yeah. Do you have any references for your own characters? When you say references for my own characters, you mean like specific individuals who inspire me for them, or like reference sheets to show my character? I found that the more people, the more I figure people out, the more I dislike people. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I like to observe people from afar. Clearly, Concord character designers had shitty character designs because they did not master the booba shape. Exactly. They did not know. Then he'd go full Sweeney Todd. Might be. Wait, you guys are having a whole ass conversation over there. Safe mode is the default mode. I live life dangerously. Oh, then it's really cute if it's like a grandma saying, "Oh fuck." But yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I do genuinely believe that anybody and everybody is capable of drawing. But again, it's what you do after them. Your kids are gonna turn out awesome. I hope so. I do hope so. I do hope so. We hope to have 2. I want 3 or 5, but that's because I come from a small family. My mother always wanted a big one, and I don't know. I think it'd be fun. It'd be fun. But I'd be happy with 2, 1 boy and 1 girl. You like Alex Ross, who makes action figures of the things for poses to make his Fantastic Four comics? Yes. There are some really, really cool things that you can do with all of that. I actually bought 3D printing with the intent of making ball jointed dolls of my characters, but then I just got dumb, and I needed to learn 3D a little bit better before I continued. You have 5 minutes? No. I don't. Reference sheet for your characters, like from a design standpoint. Oh, okay. I don't think I have easy to access files of my character reference sheets. None of this is showing up. Jesus Christ. I just opened up one of my reference folders. Those are some sexy hands. I'm a disgusting creature. Let me see if I have anything. Probably 2022 is the last time that I did. Oh, those are some tits. Okay, I don't have anything that I can put onto YouTube right now. Yeah, my PC folders. There we go. You're the oldest of 10 kids. I am an only child, yes. Why must you say it like that? I don't know. You can kind of see some of my art, though. The savvystyle.com. I like how the HR basement just devolves into me doing stuff. So I have a website. I do have a website. You can go see some stuff and things. Holy shit, why are there still so many? Why are you people so interested in listening to me ramble? You can just DM me if that's better. It might be. But here under Galley, you can kind of see my works throughout the years. I think the last time that okay, so this is from early last year, 2023. So I haven't posted in a while. This was actually a series that I did for NFTs. Yes, you are allowed to make fun of me for being into NFTs and crypto. I absolutely welcome it. But so this was a special glitch series that I was working on. So this is one of my older OCs. This is another one. This is actually my oldest original character. I was basically just trying to learn glitchy, fun things, and drawing some animals and things like that. The series is very fun, but this is Aurora. Just kind of threw on any old outfit though. This is Sadie. It's kind of like time crystal shenanigans, goofy stuff, very vibrant. This is my loading screen on occasions, but then it's like I also did airbrushing and things like that. They look pretty fungible to me. But yeah, and then so this is just getting older. So this is a combination of photo bashing, 3D, paint overs, adding in characters and things like that. Basically, I love to experiment and just create a bunch of things. This is actually a massive file. That was a lot of, this was really fun. It started off with just a bunch of scribbles for the background. Again, a mixture of paint overs, photo bashing, and things like that, just to try to create environments. And this is supposed to be representative of like Aurora's world. So like she's over here in the background, but you can barely see her. More of Aurora. I love drawing her. So yeah, just kind of experiment. And you can see like, you know, I do tons, just zoom in on the teddies. Tons of different styles. I like learning. That's why my art is hardly ever consistent. You know, this is like digital watercolor essentially, but like very realistic as opposed to like my anime stuff, which is that. And then there's like hyper realism with like random stuff. And the best ghoul, not yet. Female only children with the dirtiest humor, gotta stick together. Amen. Whole family is LDS, which is why I'm always getting, I'm always the odd one out. Aww. Well, thank you for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Have I played Baldur's Gate 3? And if so, what did you think of it? So my husband bought it for me. I opened it, and then I got pissed off with the character creator, and then I haven't opened it since. And the reason why I got pissed off was because I was told that you could create whatever you wanted, essentially, and then I couldn't do half-breeds. So I got upset, and then I didn't open it. Oh, this is another one. I'm actually really, really happy with this one. So this is one of my better, I think, environmental pieces. But yeah, and then cringe stuff, GTA RP, speed paints, and then some photography, because my dad had bees. So I had fun with that. I like doing creative things. You need mods? Probably. The character creation was a mess. Yeah, I actually hated it. The winter drawing, bless you. Yeah, that one's actually one of my favorites that I've done, because there's just so much going on. There's a whole hell of a lot going on there. Bee butts are the best though, man. Oh, and then I gotta show off some Pokemon. Look at this. This was a joy to create. I had a lot of fun with this one. But yeah. So this is just literally the bare minimum just to have on the website. And then you can read a little bit about me, which isn't super awesome, but yeah. And then a contact that goes to an email that I don't check. So hopefully nobody has ever emailed me, because I won't see it. And then, yeah, just really basic. I was going to write this, but I didn't really write a whole lot. I think digital art is all bad. I'm old enough to remember when I was made fun of and told that I was a hack and a cheat for digital art. And now those same people are like begging people for tutorials. Baldur's Gate 3 tends to piss people off, though. I thought it was okay, but it's not as great. I mean, as long as people had fun. I know like it's very popular. It did very well, but I think I just don't think like I'm the target for it, because there's not enough customization, I guess. And before 1 million emails for, well, commissions are closed. So you'd have to convince me with a make me price, because I shut them down for the summer. I'm very fortunate to be able to do that. So what I do is I work really, really hard for like a solid year beforehand. And then I try to set aside some money so that way I can just do whatever the fuck I want for a few months. So it's like taking like a big break, but I'm not doing the things that I really wanted to do with the break. And instead I'm just kind of sitting around. So I don't know. I say that, but I am actually working on some stuff. It's just not what I initially planned on. So, Fearmonger, dude, it was insane. I'm glad I never listened to them though. But at the same time, I kind of wish that I did do more traditional art. So I found myself wanting to actually sketch on paper for the first time in forever. When was the last time you checked that email? Long time ago. I have 108,000 emails I haven't read between my 2 inboxes. My Savvy Starfruit one, oh god, it's currently loading. It says 29, almost 30,000 that I haven't opened. And this is not spam, by the way. This is not just spam. These are like actual emails. Some of them, like I get offered like some press shit sometimes, so I'll pay you 1K Indian rupees for a commission. That is not my make me price. But rupees are cool. Yeah, I've missed a lot. I've missed a lot. So big oops. But yeah, I think that's really about it. We could probably end it there. This is definitely the part of the stream where things are just mwah, you know, wind down. You can go to my Substack too if you're super curious about any of this stuff. The very first one is actually just an early draft of the book that I am writing. I've already changed up some of the names, and actually since then I've completely restructured this, and there's some repetition in here that I didn't like, so even though I've changed some stuff, you can still like get an idea for my writing style if you're super curious. On top of that, I do have some things. I need to put something else on here. The last time I updated this was March 8th. And then last year. So it's not a paid Substack or anything. It's just if you want to read things and check out my writing style. The gems from Zelda. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, there's really nothing else that I had. We talked about the 2 things on my page that I wanted to talk about. I'm sad that I fell for a Pokemon joke. And that's really about it. We're going to be watching the Japanese market. We're going to be stalking Blackstone and their movements. And I'm going to keep bitching at politicians for being filthy insider traders. Otherwise, that's really about it. Everything was better when I was younger. Well, that's because things were better when we were younger. Any RimWorld streams soon? Yes, I had actually intended to do that today. I don't know if I will later. We've been streaming for 3.5 hours now, and we'll probably, I'll try to either do RimWorld either tonight or tomorrow. Oh no, I can't do tomorrow evening wouldn't work because of Tuesday. Game stream maybe Wednesday then. Or either tonight or Wednesday, but I don't. If I do tonight, it'll end up being midnight. I'm on Eastern Coast, by the way, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Used to digital art, now only traditional art. I'm sorry that you had a bad experience, though. But yeah, that's about it, guys. You have yourself a wonderful evening. More RimWorld character artwork incoming? Yes. If I can get a long playthrough going, which I think I can with my big mod pack, there'll be some artwork. So basically what I do is I start off with a cast of characters that I kind of create and build a minor story around, and hopefully it's interesting, and then the story that plays out after that is completely up to RimWorld and that, and so any new characters that we meet, any pairings or whatever, maybe we fall in love with them and get some cool art going. But I do love drawing my RimWorld characters, so War Crime Simulator, exactly. Cheerio chat, you'll have yourselves a good night, eh? That was a little, I don't know what the fuck that was. That was a mix of shit. But y'all have a good evening. Where's my music? Maybe I'll play some memes.
Only 9 years old, innocent eyes, watching stories unfold. Pokemon battles, adventure and pride, till the truth was twisted and my innocence died. Lost in translation, they twisted the truth. A rice ball to jelly, they shattered my youth. No more deception, I'll fight till the end. Against localizers, I'll never bend. They thought we ignored, but we saw through their lies, couldn't take it no more. Often authentic voices silenced and betrayed. The changes can wash the essence away. Lost in translation, they twisted the truth. A rice bowl to jelly, they shattered my youth. No more deception, I'll fight till the end. Against localizers, I'll never bend. They sit on their thrones, thinking they reign, but they despise the anime domain. They think they have power, they think they know best, but the Disney for the art reveals they're just pests. Rise up, the words aren't the same. Stand tall, stand firm, it's us they blame. They take away the blood, the meaning, the culture. Fuck the patriarchy, cries the lonely vulture. Lost in translation, they twisted the truth. A rice bowl to jelly, they shattered my youth. No more deception, I'll fight till the end. Against localizers, I'll never bend. The battle is raging, but our hope beckons. AI is coming, translating in seconds. From 9 years old,